All right. I'm going to pray. Dear Jesus, we just thank you, Father, for today. We thank you for your grace and mercy. Pray that you give us wisdom and discernment, understanding, revelation, God, how to conduct the county's business and do what's best for the hardworking taxpayers who elected us to represent them, to spend their money wisely, and to not chase frivolous pursuits, that we would be mindful of the taxpayers first and foremost in all that we do. And we just bless your name, Jesus. Amen. All right. Approval of the agenda. Before we get started on the agenda, I had three things I needed to add. Item 4F under transfers, payroll. So I guess 4F1, wanted to add a D and E. D was a finance transfer. And E was a general sessions 2 transfer. So under report of the finance director, item 4F1, we're adding D and E. And then under new business, E, under fiscal year 2025 budgets, we're going to add item 12, just fiscal year 2025 budget workshop, so right above adjournment. So I'm going to add that in.
Workshop.
Fiscal year 2025 budget workshop, E12, item 4F1, D and E, under report of finance director, will be finance transfer in general sessions 2 transfer. All right. Do I have a motion for approval agenda?
Motion.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Klein, second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Recognition of the public. Thank you, everybody. All right. Approval of the minutes, May 13th. Entertain a motion.
Approval.
Motion by Commissioner Klein. Second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Report of the Budget Committee Chairman, July Budget Committee meeting date. Mr. Schoaf is
Jimmy, tell you kind of the gist
yeah,
of
tell
it.
them what, I don't know what you guys discussed.
At the last one, we discussed of possibly moving the county commission, or if the commission's amicable to it, to the 4th Monday. The next thing to do would be actually to move, if possible, and that's what I was going to ask the committee, and there's a couple of reasons here, we get the date.
Well,
If you look at your
fifth
July
Monday.
calendar,
It's the fifth Monday, David, and Monday 29th. Monday 29th is the fifth Monday in July, and that's what you had requested for the
right, yes, sir.
commission meeting
And to see if we can
and
move.
budget the 22nd.
And see if you can move the budget committee to the 15th, the 15th. And that way you could start the budget meeting earlier. And also the other reason is you're going to have a 10-day publication, period before the county commission. So if you did it the 15th, that day you could have your second hearings with your department heads, wrap that up, and then we could get it to the paper by noon on the 16th, which means it could be in the paper to make the 29th for a 29th budget adoption.
Is there any
To prevent
objection
call
to
meetings.
Tuesday, July the 15th at 5:30 p.m.?
Monday.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Monday, July the 15th. Would you guys want to do like 5:30, or is that too early?
You might want to see early as you can if you're going to have hearings and your regular
You want
meetings.
to say 5 o'clock? Or
I can make anything work on
or we
it.
need, do we need to do 4 o'clock?
So, I'm sorry, I'm trying to.
Monday, July 15th.
Okay.
What time?
If you guys could do 4, it'd probably be good.
So you want to change it to 4?
If
You guys want to do 4 o'clock?
If you guys are able to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because that way you can have your second set of budget hearings, and then we can prepare it and have it to the paper by noon on the 16th.
There is no financial management meeting that time.
It should be on the same night of the commission generally.
And it's,
So
it's
it's-
scheduled for that evening, financial management
You
at 5
probably want to
p.m.
move it to the, could you move it to the 29th then?
What?
Could you possibly move it to the 29th before the commission meeting? Financial management?
Guess we're good. I mean, chairman would have to
We
make
can
that.
contact the chairman.
See if Mr.
That's their decision.
So
Well-
you could change it to another night. The 29th's gonna be long anyways. If he's changing it to maybe the Tuesday, the 30th.
I don't see that.
Was it,
That would be.
You guys are on
We'll
financial
ask
management.
him, we'll ask him to make a change.
I thought you said that Colin wanted to cancel July's. And
That is true, we're having a meeting, that's correct, we're canceling July, we're having a meeting in August.
Problem solved. All right,
Well, so,
Or is it January?
can you do Monday, July 15th at 4 p.m.? Can you do
yeah,
that?
yeah, but then the commission has moved to the 29th?
Correct.
So July too.
Okay, I guess I gotta cut another vacation short.
Sorry, Dave. I guess we did bring this up 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but these plans have been made for months.
Which day?
Well,
The 29th. It's okay,
Oh, that-
we'll figure something out.
Well, no, the commission, they will have to be set by the county commission. They're the ones that set their meeting days, so they'll have to be
voted
on
on.
the agenda.
If they
If you
don't,
can make sure to put that on the agenda as a recommendation.
it's already
But-
been completed. But the thing is, the commission's unwilling to change it to the 29th, and we may need to move it back to the 8th to make it 10 days. But the only reason I thought it may be better to move it to the 15th is because you've already got meetings on the 8th, and if you do the 15th, you can have an earlier meeting and get all those hearings. That's why the 15th would probably be better than the 8th, if possible.
Well, the 29th had something to do with the
Tax
rate, right?
That's what we're gonna discuss, because the tax rates are gonna have the hearings in July, so they're gonna go up into July, so you're gonna need the tax rate, so also by, the later you can do it, it's gonna give them more time to get the tax rate too, so the 15th will be. Because the budget committee, per private act and by statute, we're supposed to carry a budget appropriation resolution and a tax rate to the county commission at the same time. Now, you may not approve them, but you're supposed to carry them together.
Hmm.
So we don't have a tax rate, so you can't carry a budget.
And the tax rate's not gonna be done until,
I talked to Don, and they said their meetings are already up in July. So if we did the 15th, it's more likely they're gonna have all the meetings done and a tax rate by that point. August, no, 15th, July. So he has his first week hearings, he should be able to set tax rate. Back now.
So tentatively, I guess we need to say July the 15th, 4 p.m., based on the county commission approving moving the full commission to the 29th. That's my motion.
I'll second
Second by Commissioner Brown.
question, what's going on the 22nd, July 22nd?
Nothing, but he said they needed 2 weeks.
Oh, they need.
That's not enough time. It's
Okay,
only 7
that-
days, you need 10
okay.
days.
Yeah, we need to get your second set of hearings with your department heads, and then,
Okay.
without calling a special meeting, you could do that on the 15th, and then that would still allow, we could get the paper on the 16th, and you've got the 10-day publication requirement for the budget.
Okay,
You gotta publish it at least 10 days before approval.
okay.
Oh, we got a motion, we got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Report of the county mayor.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Report of the finance director.
The first thing is the financial statement memo, just stating the financial statements will be available to county commission or any interested citizen. Item B, just kind of touch base on it, talking to the assessor's office. They said the appeals are going up to July. They won't really have a rate till sometime early July. Already went over that. I'm sorry, that's item C, I skipped B. Item B, we have the list of the reappraisal monies that we have not received. The reason it is on here is Hendersonville has paid all the way up through 2023.
So what is it?
City of Hendersonville's paid all their reappraisal costs.
So the 800 or whatever that was they paid. Okay.
They're paid up, so the list of the cities remaining are Gallatin, Portland, and Gibsonsville. So all the main cities have paid. Item E, or D, is your appropriation resolution only allows for allotment of 1/12 and does not allow for any capital projects or any expenditures outside of that unless specifically approved with county commission. We did send out an email and there was a response, and I think Ms. Allison's passed it out, or she can pass it out, of a listing of things provided back. As this is to do with next year's budget, and it is an item on continuing resolutions, item 10E. I'm gonna pass it out this time, but it's probably more appropriate to discuss it with 10E after you went through the 25 budget to determine what capital projects you will need to continue through July.
All right, so you want to put that, move
Let's
that down?
discuss it at 10E.
Okay.
Just pick up this Teddy.
Yeah, but it's your appropriation resolution. But I was just giving you the reason that it's being mentioned. Item E is budget amendment statistics, because you guys have had a lot of inquiries about budget amendments, and we have had an increasing number of budget amendments this past year with resolutions, budget amendments, and transfers. There was 2,422 line items adjusted, which is a significant percentage. So that may be something in the future that we start looking at, maybe having the departments adjust their lines less often, or maybe do a true up a couple of times a year if it's running over by material amounts.
Is this page 13 or is this the handbook? Or is
It's
this
page
13? Okay.
13.
I mean, I can't speak to, I mean, recommendation, I guess, so what's the request?
Talking
Beth,
to,
what do you request?
talking to Dustin from Nashville or from Davidson County, what they do is a true up twice a year where they actually adjust their line items. Maybe want to start looking at something because we are growing. Right now, we do spend a significant time on transfers, the committee and the office does.
So we're looking to close the window and opportunity to do those things. It's to streamline the process.
Look at the way the transfers are done internally and then brought to the committee and maybe streamline it up a little bit.
Do you need a motion for this, or?
No, just bringing the statistics to you, and we might bring back a recommendation in a month or two, kind of study it a little deeper, but.
Yeah, will you make a note for that?
Another reason I brought it to the committee, you guys did have questions earlier about the number of transfers, and a couple of the committee members.
That's a lot.
So I have a question.
We need to open for discussion.
I think we're in the middle of his.
Yeah, a motion by Commissioner Miller. By
Second.
Commissioner Klein. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Why do we have this, I mean, what causes us to have all these transfers? And is it more towards the end of the year?
It's more toward the end of the year when people are running out of money, but if you look at some of the budgets, because like everybody, they're in a rush. Some people put the same budget year after year, even though their expenditures don't completely line up with their budget. So if you, like tonight, if we went through a couple of the budgets, you can see that they have line items that are zero that they historically, the last couple of years, have been spending money out of. So, yeah, I think it's partially when they run out of money, and part of it is some people are presenting more toward a status quo budgeting budget that should have been changed at this point.
So it's a function of budget.
It's a function of budgeting, yeah.
So, okay.
Is it a function of bad budgeting?
Well, I think some of them are in a rush, and there's, not to say anything bad, but if you look at some of them, there's line items that they spend money on regularly but don't budget in. It's another item that they transfer during the year. So it's become a process. It's easier to kind of figure out what I think my total is and then adjust it during the year, but it's caused a lot of transfers.
But these total lines amended are for the entire year.
Yes, that's.
So whether you do it earlier or later, it's still the same amount.
Yes, it's a transfer.
Can you remind me how many departments we have?
I think it's at 37 or 38 now. So it's according to how you break them down.
38 departments and 2,400 transfers.
Yes. That was the line.
And that's all amendments, it's not just the transfers, it's the appropriations and everything.
The
But
additional
427 of those were in transfers alone, were in the month of May.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, 427 transfers.
That's what your 7 or 6 plus pages of list of transfers,
Today.
it's 427.
Yeah.
so spend it or lose it.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily, I just think that maybe a little more truing up, looking at a true up process.
Dustin and I have been working on creating a true up policy, been reviewing some suggestions he had, so that's what I'd like to review with David, and then maybe have him present that.
It may save us significant time, and then if you have the true up, you may also be able to review it before budget and see which lines aren't being adjusted during the budget process that should be.
Thank you.
Item 14 is, the first one is under transfers. There's a comp time payout for $2,000 for a turned employee out of the finance department. Item 2, assessor of property, $50,000 for assessment changes for mail outs, item B. Item C is the sheriff's department is wanting to transfer some money for the lake area where they get the funds for patrolling the lake area. Item D is for additional comp time payout monies because we've had some turnover because people higher pay. And then item E is the same thing as general sessions. It's a agreement comp time payout with the city. None of these were unusual transfers.
You know, motion for these?
presented the motion.
I'll make a motion to group and approve A through E.
Second.
All right, motion second by Commissioner Brown, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, carries.
Page 17 through 33 is the interdepartmental budgetary transfers, and generally, unless I think there's something objectionable, and I will call if I think there is, or get additional detail, these are already done before they get down
He skipped it,
You skipped number 2,
here.
David.
So what else is it?
the county
Oh, the
commission.
county commission, this is to do with, and I think Miss Allison passed out another one's a little larger. The accounting, it was a statute change, was it last year or the year before, Eric? About the mental health evaluations?
I think it was the year before because I had to deal with it the following year.
So the county's required, if it's ordered by the judge, to pay in certain instances mental health evaluations.
Right.
We've got the bills and had to pay them out of county commission. There's another one I've received, so we've increased the amount for the rest of the year. So that's another transfer that we actually need, and I only bring it to this committee because it's a county commission transfer, so it's not a fiscal department asking for approval. It's got the details attached, and it's probably not only need to discuss during the 25 budget workshop because there's no funds in that line item.
Did you have the second transfer to that line?
Yes, it's the 20.
There's 2.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
There's one that was handed out later that's larger, correct?
So we're gonna move it to workshop? Is that-
Well, no, we need to do the transfers for this year, but during the workshop, you probably need to address it.
No, there was another item that Eric brought to, so we've got a couple more invoices.
There were several. I know y'all determined some of them had been paid already, and I think there were 2 hanging out there.
That was the other handout, Jessica, there was a second one for the county commission.
It was all included, but I got extras.
Okay.
It was like another
20,
2,400.
yeah.
It was $24, yeah.
This is what it would transfer.
Like ours, right?
Yes, that's your
So
point.
number 2, there's
This is it.
actually 2 transfers within the county commission.
I saw you had this.
One is
It was.
included in here, and then there's another $2,400 transfer. There's one for $2,250 and one for $2,400.
No evaluation.
$2,400.
All right. So, I mean, I don't see earth shattering here, so I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Since I keep skipping, I don't know.
Interbudgetary.
4F3 is the other interbudgetary.
All right, make a motion for discussion. Interbudgetary.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Klein, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any questions about interbudgetary?
Mr. Chairman, we all need to turn these back in. They have an item on there that has some patient names on
Yeah, it shouldn't have been.
Talking about the handouts,
it. This one, County Commission Fund 101.
It should have been redacted before it was sent to us or anybody.
I don't know, is this one we're talking about?
Just that one.
Yeah.
That's
what we just said that last week.
It should have been, it should have been redacted, it has. And you couldn't identify this person anyway, just.
No.
No, there it is.
Oh.
They're not enough to
It's the
identify.
second page.
Y'all want the top page?
I guess
Yeah, I have the top
Yeah,
page.
for top.
The top page.
There's not enough to identify, but we still don't want them out there even.
There's a little more.
Cool, keep going with it.
Prefer to have that.
Is that the last page on that? Oh, that's it.
All right, we're on other interbudgetary, we have a motion and we second voted on discussion. Does anybody have?
Motion to discuss.
We've already done it.
Second.
It's, floor is open for interbudgetary, obviously, so if anybody has anything to ask or question, or now's your time.
Can I have a minute?
Yep,
That's your first page.
pages basically 34 is what to start on. Through 40. Interbudgetary.
talking about, Mr. Brown. The rental charges, I think that was paid off of a P card, and we're covering the line item now. The one you said it was rental charges to move.
Which one's that?
Like 9 down.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to look, I think that was paid with a P card.
I have a question, David. On the election commission transfers, what is all this for? Is this
Part of it
for
is,
here, for this building?
part of it's for this building, part of it's for the TRC. And they
There's
bought some of it on the P card.
3,200 for the TRC.
I'd have to look, but I believe that was off of a P card, so it was already done.
What line did they take it out of?
Well, they just paid it out, they covered it for them. I'd have to look, I believe that's the situation.
But it was in an appropriation of some, do we have that in an appropriation for rentals?
No, they moved it to rentals, and you had it under other materials and supplies.
Oh, I see.
So cover to keep the line item from exceeding after they already bought it, the P card. I think it was still P card.
What about on second page, where it's talking about the new courthouse moving boxes for $45.40. That's a lot of moving boxes.
It would be, there's a lot of stuff in those classes.
I already had a lot of these things.
Yeah. It's hard to fathom, but they
Boxes
have.
and stuff like that.
Regarding,
Yeah.
can I ask, regarding obsolete computers on line 35 for the assessors of property. In budget, wasn't there a department that was wanting computers and they were gonna be obsolete, but we decided they wouldn't be obsolete for another year? I don't remember
That
what
was the
department.
assessor's office.
That was the assessor's office? Well, they just went and bought them.
I think he was gonna buy them in 2 lots, wasn't he? if I
I
recall,
believe so.
in 2 parts. I believe that was his intent to buy part of this year and part of next year. When he was talking to you, that'd be a question for Mr. Linville. I could be mistaken.
All right, is there anything else on this? Any questions anybody has or motion you'd like to make?
See that there's, more transfers to the Brown Park for permits.
Those were already done by Miss Norfleet before it was sent back to Gen Ops. The funds hadn't been transferred. Yeah, but she was made aware the next day after the meeting that it was already Gen Ops, but I talked to Miss Browning and she had already bought those permits or stuff before that. Waiting for her to undo.
I don't know if now's the time to mention it, but I have updated spreadsheets on all the monies spent on Brown Park. I don't know if now's a time to mention it or,
Probably not. I mean,
okay.
for the sake of time.
The
Unless
law,
you want to make a motion to stop transfer, I guess if it's already happened.
yeah, wait,
If you want to make a motion.
well, here's the long and short of it, if I may. We've spent $198,000 roughly on engineering and
Of the
architecture.
$500,000?
Well, it's coming out of 4 different accounts. And, well,
We spent we had the county originally appropriated $100,000 for a park plan and part of the Brown Park. They spent, I think, David, was around $95,000 of that. And then they had another $125 local appropriated, $500,000 from the Brown Trust and a $625,000 grant. The remainder outside the 95 that Dave was talking about is split half and half right now between state funds and that 125. And I believe, and I don't have it out in front of me, Dave was talking about, is it 180,000 maybe?
well, what we've spent to date is 198,515.68. And we've got another almost 29,000 encumbered. And the vast majority of it is for architectural and engineering. And I'm still not sure where we're at with this project. It seems to keep going and going. And
What is this status of that money being transferred for the resolution with that?
The 500,000?
Yeah.
I don't, Mr. Sittler, do we have any update on the 500,000 coming
We've
from?
received no correspondence money, nothing.
Okay, so we've been dipping into the 625,000 grant money, the 125,000 that the county appropriated to match the grant, the 100,000 that was transferred from Station Camp Greenway into Liberty Creek Park, and we've been pulling out of the general fund, looks like $1,500 so far. And we did pay some, or money was approved at the finance department last week for 2 new invoices that, or what? Yeah, that totaled $6,000 more.
Now, for the contracts you already have, and that's what I was talking to David.
Right.
It's supposed to go back to Gen Ops, but if, just like Ms. Norfleet, if she's got a contract and a PO, and they've done work, we're gonna have to pay them. And our other only choice is if we're not gonna continue with an existing contract, we probably need to get involved with legal and see if we can.
Hold on a second. Hey, Eric and Chris, I can't hear David.
I'm sorry.
Well, kind of, there's several moving pieces on this. The 95,000 amount, you know, the 100, around 95, I believe, David, sounds about right. But it's already on. You had a PO out, I believe it was $180,000. It's got about $20-some thousand left, maybe less. Less now, there's payments last week. But what I was telling David, they've moved the park back to Gen Ops, but we already have a contract and PO out on that project. So if we're getting in bills for work done, we're gonna end up paying the work based on the contract. And for the work that isn't done, we need to do one of two things: let it proceed and pay it out and figure out if we want to stop, or two, probably get Ms. Norfleet to approach Eric and or Steve and find out if we can break the contract if the work hadn't been done and stop. That's kind of where I'm not clear where we're wanting to do, if we want to continue with the existing or try to break the contract and stop.
But General Operations had a little dog and pony show several months ago on what the concept was. And, you know, we're into this almost $200,000 in design, and General Ops has not seen anything. I don't know if the mayor's office has seen what's been designed, but it seems like a lot of money if we're still in conceptual design. So we don't know where we're at with it, and we don't know where we're at with the $500,000, and we still haven't received the key on the building to assess our primary responsibility, which is to make sure that the jewel of the park is taken care of, which is the 200-plus-year-old house. So,
Well, I'm gonna bring us back into
Yeah, sure.
these budget transfers. So, is there any motion? Do you have a motion for these budget transfers?
I have a question, another question, I'm sorry. It's just clarification for me. On page 39, under courthouse and jail maintenance, we have all these additional items that we need, which is fine, we need stuff. I'm talking about that. But I'm wondering, what makes those things different from it coming out of capital projects? And over there, we have new courthouse surge protectors out of capital, but over here we have trash cans out of a different, I mean, why don't they, one of these things seem like the other.
The capital projects is for major capital renovation construction. The courthouse construction, those surge protectors are things that are actually used in that courthouse.
They're
The brand name.
fixed.
Right,
Okay.
they're fixed, or even if they're supplies and we're not buying them from bonds, you know, the other funds that we put in there, we buy several things to equip the new courthouse. But these other ones are for existing buildings, so they don't reach a capital threshold. So because we are levying property tax in there for capital purposes, and our capital capitalization threshold is $7,500, we try to keep everything below $7,500 out of the capital projects fund. And then you have the other pot of money, which is the courthouse and jail maintenance, which we generally just try to do, just courthouse and jail maintenance out of this. Everything else goes under the county buildings. Does that answer your question? It's only really for larger.
I just wanted to know what the difference was.
If it's part of a project.
I had no problem with them, I was just wondering how it divided.
Commissioner Miller?
I just saw on your they have on, under Gallatin Library on page 38, they have a $4,500 electricity increase. Is there an issue there with maybe a big piece of equipment? $4,500 is a huge electricity increase.
It's more than anticipated, and we could look at it tonight to see if it's one that they budgeted lower than history, if it's just more than anticipated. There's both of those things that happen. Plus I think they cut it. Well, they don't have it wrong. But I would dare say I don't think it would be a way for something causing it, but if it was water, I'd be more worried.
So you think they just ran out of money in that line?
Probably. We'll look at, we can compare it, if you want to, the workshop, we can compare it to historical and see why we bring it up. To be noted.
All right, anything else on this? No other interbudgetary? All right. Let's go on to old business. Item A, City of Gallatin. We have this on old business every month. We can keep on the old business. I don't know if there's anything we need to add to this, especially if we're talking about, I don't know if this was on here, David.
On the
Paid
Gallatin,
parking garage, was that on here?
the parking garage, that's just about Gallatin, they said to keep it on the agenda. Gallatin owes us.
Correct, but, well, we actually made a motion in legislative to send it was supposed to be here in budget. I never saw it got removed. I don't, if I'm missing it on this agenda, correct me. But in budget, you were gonna look at the feasibility study. Commissioner Chauvin made a motion 2 months ago to look at for paid and what would be possible, and I don't think that was.
I have Dustin trying to gather information right now. We're getting the deeds and see if there's any contracts out, and he's looking at other ones. And I think he's approaching Ms. Norfleet, which is approaching the engineer to determine if it's even feasible in that garage to do paid parking that way.
Okay.
So we're looking at that, and then we've also got to look at everything to make sure one's not making a profit. It's not a for-profit business. There's several things we have to look at before we're near that point, but we have got somebody looking at it, and I'll find out where he's at on. I think,
We did make a motion to legislative to kick that specific agenda item over to this committee, because we found out the deed. The only deed restriction to the property is 35 spots from the senior citizen retirement living. And then what came up is the church was guaranteed parking spots for church service on nights and weekends. So basically we discovered, I mean, if you're gonna do paid parking, you pretty much had to do it during business hours. You couldn't do it on weekends or nights because of those two deed restrictions, or as part of the deed. So there's 35 spots that are guaranteed reserved. Then basically the daytime only would be the criteria, so. But we did kick that back, so I would want to make sure that's on this agenda for next month.
okay, we're still with the process of gathering a lot of data.
That's fine.
Okay,
Okay.
it'll be a while, but we'll go ahead and put it back on the agenda. Put it on the agenda under that paid parking.
All right. Item B, additional funds needed for autopsy, second reading.
The estimate's still good. That's the one I asked to stay here for a second reading because we wanted to get more bills and see if our estimate was correct.
So-
And our estimate would be the same as what we're gonna be over. It hasn't changed.
So we're good for this?
How much is an autopsy?
Was that, did you say $800?
No, that was evaluations. I was wanting to think 600, but that could be way off. I'll have to look to be.
No, I think it's more than that.
Is it more than that?
1,200.
I've been here for 15 years. It's changed a lot, so I don't know. But we can look tomorrow for this contact the office. We'll tell you.
All right. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brown, I got a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Boyd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. New business, education, pending approval education committee, budget amendment 2, and copier lease. We have a motion for these.
I'll make a
Let's go to
motion.
motion for discussion or motion for approval.
Hang on,
Just a minute.
Yeah, just a minute.
I'll make a motion.
Can we have education speak to us, the education members?
Yeah. You got a motion for discussion?
I agree. with
Motion for
approval.
discussion.
While I
Second.
was still chairman.
All right, we got a motion, we got a separate discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Commissioner Brown?
Does this need a second?
What did you say? You had something?
I'll second it.
Do these need a second reading?
Well, they need to wait the second reading on this
So they came to us with a recommendation for approval from education, is that what I understand?
Was it approved in education?
Yes, it was.
So I'll make a motion to approve and waive the second reading.
On budget amendment number 2?
That's when we're, yeah, when we're
Yep.
talking about.
All right, motion is to approve, waive second reading. You got a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor, say aye.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. 2, copy release. Anything with this? Just
Motion to approve.
motion approved by Commissioner Klein. Got a
Second.
Second by Commissioner Boyd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Appropriations, Highway
Hey,
Department.
did we need a wait second on that?
No, it's not an appropriation, so
Okay.
it's just a lease. This one's the Statutory Trustees Commission, it's based on revenues. The Highway Department's estimate was off a little bit. We told them last month that our estimate was there's gonna be more than what they had in there, and they sent us the transfer. I'm requesting approval to keep the major category from going over, and asking you to waive the second reading. And also the electricity's gonna be a little short.
We have a motion for, waive second reading, approve.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Boyd to waive the second reading and approve this. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And just one discussion, can we add
Motion
this?
carried already. Sorry, Terry.
I just want to say, can we discuss it in workshop, make a note to add electricity to them?
You can do that in
Okay.
workshop, but I mean, we already,
We looked at this trustees commission already
We're
in
good.
finance, but done electricity, no, I don't think we looked at it.
all right, item C, other items, County Mayor, emergency purchase order from Maxwell Roofing to repair new courthouse roof wind damage. Do I have a motion for discussion?
Motion to discuss.
Motion discussed. Got a second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
This
All right.
is
What was
actually
it?
reporting, anytime that you have an emergency like that, and the mayor declares an emergency to do a purchase that's, it has to be reported to the county commission, the reason, what happened, and all that stuff. So it's just reporting, asking the committee to report it on up.
My question is, Mr. Mayor, was this storm damage, I guess, I assume, wind damage?
Yeah,
Like a
wind
month or-
damage and
Back in
it
March?
was leaking into the building, the last rains.
So this has nothing to do with the fire that occurred?
This is a brand new roof,
Yeah,
and this is a $20,000 damage. Is there no warranty?
and this wasn't covered under warranty, it was wind damage.
You're certain of that?
We checked, yeah. Yeah, I asked the same question.
That's hard to believe, that a brand new roof would have no warranty against wind damage. Mr. Chairman, may I address the mayor? Was there an analysis done of what could have caused $20,000 worth of damage to a brand new roof?
I didn't do an analysis, I didn't climb up there.
Okay. Could we do an analysis after the fact? or is-
You're welcome to climb up there if you want to.
I will. Okay. And the work is already done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could you give me the name of the company that did the work?
It's on here, right? It's in
On there,
the
Maxwell.
Maxwell.
Okay,
That's on the
great.
invoice, page 57.
Great.
So-
Yeah, I got it
This
here.
was just to make a report to the commission about it, because we did approve an emergency purchase because it was leaking. And we're just required to report it, so I'm asking this committee to report it for us. Everything's pretty much carried by committee.
In the motion? We don't need to wait for a
One more
second.
question. So when I look at the picture, and this is, I'm just wondering how, I don't know about yours. So on page 61, was it this beam here that broke loose? Is that what I'm seeing?
I'm not sure.
Because it looks like it's sitting on a piece of another.
Oh, yeah,
What is
that's
that?
part of it that broke off.
So this beam
Part
broke
of the
off?
roof- Part of the roofing, yeah. Yeah, if you pull the picture back, you should probably see it better.
And I don't know about roofs, but is this something to make sure the other pieces are screwed in tight? I don't know.
It's all checked.
Thank you.
We need a waiver second reading for this, David.
It's not an appropriation, I just pass it on to the commission's report.
Fine, you have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by
Second.
Commissioner Kleiner, seconded by Commissioner Boyd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Tax refunds? Any questions? Motion to group and approve?
Motion to group and approve.
Motion to group approved by Commissioner Boyd, second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item E, fiscal year 2025 budgets. Item 1, this is miscellaneous and remaining budget items.
I make a motion that we make that item 12 with workshop.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Boyd to move item 1 to item 12. But, do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Klein. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Item 2, local revenues.
And that's, it's just to be passed out meeting, but since we don't have a tax rate, one thing I wanted to mention about local revenues, the local revenues in your budget show a total for local revenues, but they're not distributed correctly. So when we get the tax rate on, whenever it is in the July meeting, I'll go ahead and adjust those revenues between those lines to make them actually fit the reappraisal.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Nothing to do with this right now.
Now, I said to be passed out, but we can't actually, I have some estimates, it's probably better just to wait to pass out, finalize the numbers.
Item 3, ARPA. A, B, C, D, and E. Motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss?
Second.
Commissioner Boyd, second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Floor is open. I'll get into you first. I made the motion, obviously, last week to put this back to budget with the new information that Commissioner Boyd brought forward. And I had time to think about it. Personally, I like the idea of distributing it per your original plan, Commissioner Boyd, so I would be in favor of that versus giving Louisville or Hendersonville or White House or anybody else. So,
There's another one on
you presented us a.
Yes. Would you like me to speak to it now?
Yes.
The one thing as I was looking at this, we all had an email this week. I sent out an email to everybody. I forwarded what Kim Norfleet had said, that also out of this ARPA that she had found that we could purchase the, what they call the smart books for the police cars. Did y'all see that email? It's about $500,000 that we can also take out of this fund. So I'm all for also, I appreciate you supporting my idea about giving money back to the citizens, but I'd also like to give the police or the sheriff's department another opportunity to wish for something that could help them catch criminals faster. I think that's what ARPA says. So I'd like to, there's a lot of things I just told you. I'd like to suggest that we move ARPA to our next meeting and handle it in total, because there was a few things I told you there. Ms. Norfleet came back and said that we can take $500,000 of the remaining funds and take it off our capital projects, smart books that the sheriff's department has asked for. So that's a good thing. This is a current request they had made, and we can use the ARPA funds towards it.
Motion to defer ARPA until July. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Klein. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, carried. Item 4, the interdepartmental salary comparison.
This was the request from Ms. Boyd, and it's presented in front of you. There's a new handout that actually, should we go over the handout, what it's actually showing?
Yeah, explain this a little bit. Again, what, so this is Sumner County interdepartmental.
Yeah, this is comparing the salaries, and you gotta remember, there was a salary survey, but it's been a couple of years old, so some of the people's duties or requirements may have changed, so it may not be 100% current. So what it starts, if you go from left to right and you look at your columns, first is the department the employee's in. The next is employee's title. The next one's the job class. What they had in here, if you weren't an elected or appointed official, then you were in a job class, it goes 15, and I think the lowest we had was a 3, just making sure I was correct. What determines that is based on your the requirements of the job, such as training, education, the amount of responsibility, and various things based on the market. So 15 would be the highest, going all the way down, and we denoted an item, a .1, a .2, and a .3 behind the numbers. They're not for any purpose other than to keep the sheriff, EMS, and it says on the bottom who those are on the scale. So .1 sheriff, .2 is highway, and .3 is EMS. That way it make it easier for your comparison tonight. The next column going from left to right is actually your years of service. The next one is the ending salary for fiscal year 2024. That means their salary, what they would be making at the end of this fiscal year, including any during the year adjustments or anything else. The next column is what's in the current budget, and that's the difference between 24 and 25. The next column is the percentage change between the ending of 24 and 25. The final one shows what you would be at the beginning of 24 versus the beginning of 25. And the reason to show that is in other words, if somebody got a raise during the year, it doesn't give them credit for that. So it kind of says over this 2-year period that you would get a raise of X. So if you look, some of them have a raise from the end of 24 to 25 of a certain percent, but if you go to the far right one, it's a much larger percent because they got some raises during the year. So what it does, and then what we did after that, we went in here and we sorted them. We sorted them first by the job class, and then we sorted them separate by the FY 2025 budget. We could have done various other sorts, but when we did, it got more and more confusing, so I thought this was probably the best way to look at the data.
So I asked for this comparison because I felt that when I looked at the clerks, I couldn't understand why some clerks were starting out at 39,000 and some were starting out at 51,000. So what this does for us is with the job class, we can compare people that should be in the same groupings.
They're doing the same work.
Yes, in the same group of people. So some of the things that jumped out at me right away is if you look at the next to the last column. So end to end, percentage change. So what I was wondering, and I went back to find out why I was seeing it. If you look under the sheriff, their end-to-end change is either 7% or 6%. And that is because the sheriff's office gave 5% COLA and a two-step raise. Now, we didn't offer that to other departments, and y'all know I'm all about giving away equally to different departments. So I didn't know if we covered that and I missed that. Did anybody?
That was one of them. I'm not sure if everybody caught what I was saying when the chief deputy was here and there was a question about the salary. There was 2 things. He approached me earlier and asked how to keep the steps the same. And my response was if everybody's on the correct step and you give them the 5%, they all move together. They should stay on the correct step. When we were looking to think, some people gave the cost of living plus a step, or the cost of living was smaller plus the step. So what they put in there, I think, was at a minimum was a 5% cost of living, and then the patrol officer area had a 2% step for every year, and then the jail they put 5% in and put a 1% step. So yes,
They got almost double, so that's, 5%, 2%, and,
they got 5% and 2%, or for the sheriff, which would make a total of 7.
okay.
And then the jail was 5%, 1%, which would be a total of 6. Yeah.
So the other departments got 5. So, to me, I saw that, I wanted to bring it to y'all's attention, that, and if you look, well, you can see how that works out. It brings them higher into the levels.
Brings them into what?
It'll bring them to the top of their job class, because they got 7. So all I'm saying is the other departments got 5, and I'm just bringing it forward, the sheriff's department got 7 for COLA for 5 plus 2 steps. So I would just like to see the other departments get more money or something, because they're getting left behind. I don't think y'all understand. I might not.
So, explain, I mean, you do not fully understand personally, I'm just,
In other words,
I'm just, if you're going by percentage in this column, it's not just 5 and 7%, this is all over the board. from 40% to 20% to 11% to 5% to 7%. I mean, so I don't.
So if you look at it,
19%. So I think we
Oh, I
need
see
a
what you're
little more
saying.
clarification here, because I'm not following your logic right now.
if we look at the individual ones, if you wanna go back to that level, what you'll see is in the, you know how we have the COLA and then we have the additional?
Correct. I remember those.
So a lot of these in the, next to the last column is just straight up COLA. But when you go down through there and you see one that's like 24%, then that's COLA plus an additional. So if you went and looked, if you looked at the third one down, if you looked at that, you'll see, well, let's go on down to the sheriff major. If you look at that, you'll see the 7% increase. That's COLA.
Instead of 5%.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So, well, it's COLA plus 2 steps is what it is. So it's the 5% plus a 2-step.
Plus the extra they asked for.
And in this
Is that-
case, just with, if we pull up that one, I think it'll be easier
I'm
to
just-
see.
I'm
Yes.
going by our
It's on
appendix
page
here.
A25 is the sheriff's department.
That's going to be helpful. So comparing what you're saying to A25,
Right, so if we take a look in the detail.
which A25? All right.
Never happened again.
And that's the sheriff major?
It's the second one down.
So the adjustments are
So if you go to.
5% COLA.
Real quick, I'm going to
plus
make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So that's what Chief Deputy was explaining to us on how that came about, was that they did the 5% COLA and then they did a 2-step. And I just wanted, is it 2%?
2% step, yeah. So if you look at the, is he up there, Beth, for the major?
It's the one highlighted.
Okay, if you look, what she's saying is everybody got 5% countywide. Everybody over here had various different adjustments. What they said was to market. And the sheriff put them here because of two things. One, because there's a 2% step, and some of them have a 2% step plus an amount for, I guess it was longevity from other places. Those are the two things he put in there. So everybody has a minimum of 7%.
I just wanted to point it out.
Well, my question is, I mean, if the goal was to bring certain employees or up to market.
Up to market.
That we've been talking about for 2 years that we thought have been neglected or not exactly kept at pace as other entities. So are you feeling that, are you saying the sheriff
No.
has, because you did all the
Yeah,
work.
I did all
with
that.
the sheriff. So I mean, I
It's
know
just
that's why it's-
bringing them up. When you look in the different classes and the averages, this is just bringing them,
Are they up too much? or-
they're up a lot more than other people in their classes. If you look down through there.
What are you talking about?
It's just hard to see, I guess. It's fine if I just wanted to bring it out. But, it's hard to see with EMS in there with their overtime also.
So what will be your recommendation?
I just wanted to point it out. That was what it was. It isn't a market adjustment. We're just moving their whole scale 2 steps.
When you say two
Okay.
steps, you're saying percentage points.
2 percentage points, yes.
It was just a different way of looking. I mean, the others we said we were moving it up to market. In this instant, we said we were just stepping everybody up 2%. I'm fine with it. I just wanted to bring that up. We just moved their whole scale 2%.
So I guess my question is are they above market now? And what I hear you saying is it's unfair and not equitable and just. That's what I'm hearing you say.
We didn't take, yeah, I guess,
There's no
And
parity.
I'm just trying to figure out.
yeah,
like,
it's
so-
just that we didn't move any of the other scales up just by 2%. We tried to say that we looked at their market, and we looked at the sheet with the market, and we compared them out. But here, we just said everybody gets a 5 and a 2, and then plus more sometimes.
Okay, David, maybe you can explain to me, on the sheriff major, just as an example. We've got ending to ending percentage change is 7%, but then we got PY to ending percentage change is 24%.
Yes, there's a couple of things, and I can tell you why. Okay, the 5 and 7, what Ms. Boyd's talking about, the 5 and the 2 made the 7.
Right.
But remember, during the year, there was the market adjustment with all the
In October.
money from the SRO, you know, the school resource officer. So if you take what he was making before that, which is the beginning of the year, to what was budgeted at the beginning of 25, you know, all of 24 to 25, that would be a 24% change.
Total.
Total, yes.
And the budgeted fiscal year 109,378.13, is that a loaded or is that straight salary?
These are just salaries. We don't, I mean, it would be very hard, you know, if they change the insurance or whatever. These are just salaries.
No biddies.
The benefits, you know, the retirements, the 10% is the same, Social Security, Medicare. The only thing that would vary would be your health coverage and questionable, but,
So on page, which page is this? A24, where we've got major, we've got a straight salary of 109,378. Huh?
A25.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What did I say?
We gotta make sure it's the same.
The first
We gotta find the same employee.
Okay, well, I'm actually looking
There it
on,
is.
oh, it is A25, sorry.
109,378.
There's two A25s.
If you look at the 109,378.13 is what he's got on that sheet, and he started out as 88. Last year he started out as 88,014.
You got a mid-year adjustment.
Now, if you look at the mid-year adjustment, if you look at the ending of FY24, the mid-year adjustment brought him to that 102,212,213.
And then our loaded cost is 154,742.
Correct.
Yes.
So I guess what I'm saying is they were at market and now they got 5 plus another 2.
I mean,
So,
so you're there above market, based on
Yeah.
all the work that you and deputy credit.
I guess I'm saying I'd like for if we're doing the salary survey in the fall, it would seem that maybe they could look at it.
Well, the problem is you can't take money away from people. I mean, that really makes people mad. So rather than give them more and take it away, it would seem like to have parity and to make it equitable, we should reassess some of this work, or maybe all of it, because the disparity is pretty severe
If you look
in a lot of cases.
If you look where the numbers change, but where the job classes change, one of the things with the EMS, it throws them off. These EMS numbers are so high because they have overtime in them.
Right.
But still, if you look, we have people that are 10s, you know, lower down.
So we've got, and the point, again, is the point 3.2 is one is the sheriff's and then the highway department.
Yes.
And so we've got people in the same classification that are making half what other people in the same classification are making.
Yes, the .2 and the .1 is just to signify
Right.
the departments, they're still 4s.
So if you look at class 10, we've got a low of 49,588.50 for a 1 year of service. And then we've got a 97,813 for 26 years of service. But in between, we've got a person with 27 years of service who's making 62.74, so he's 35,000 less than somebody who's been working a year shorter.
And another thing, remember, this is 2 years old, so I don't know if some of the duties have changed. And then the nurse you're looking at, David, there's no raise on that because that's the DGA employees that's
paid directly by the state.
What are you looking at, Dan?
Like the one you're looking at for the 49 on the pink, the 49,880.
The last 10.
Okay,
No, she has no raise on there because that's the direct grant access employees from the state. And they're gonna bring back, after the state approves their budget and grant, they're gonna bring back and ask for their cost of living. It's a flow through the county, so it has a zero effect, so they're gonna bring it back when it's available.
okay.
They don't know what the percentage is, so that will go up some, but there's still quite a
So
difference.
when I look at the average of the job class 10, the average is 74,000. And we just have a huge range here.
And let me say this, some of the stuff's 2-year-old, and also that's another reason you probably want somebody from a salary survey to look at these closer.
Because the job classes could be off.
That, and then also you have overtime to play for EMS, because they're some of the higher ones. And then after you pull them out, it doesn't go quite as far off. You start looking after you pull the 2 EMS employees off. the
If you pull
highways.
them off, the average goes down from the 74, and then the 84
Well,
jumps.
The 84 jumps, but if you look, there's a huge raise to make the 84 one.
Right.
It's made this year, it wasn't that way at the beginning of the year, it's a 17% increase if it's approved. So if
I'm
we
not
did
an
it, it's
HR
76.
expert.
You're not?
I'm not an HR expert. It's just, when I look inside these job classes, let me take you to another one.
Okay.
Let's look at planning engineer, planning director. I like
Okay.
Josh. Josh is here. But Josh, with Josh's budget, and
You're a
he only
bureaucrat.
took the
What,
5%.
what page are? Oh,
I'm on the
plan.
first page. So this is what brings me to say we might need somebody. So if I look at Josh makes more than all our elected officials except for the sheriff. And Josh,
Mayor.
yeah, he makes more than the mayor. The sheriff makes $1,500 more than Josh. Now, we denied Josh the additional raise he asked, but I'm saying our salary scale, that one really jumps out at me as like, something's wrong with our salaries. And then if you go down and you look at the planning engineer makes more than our elected officials. Our elected officials, Carolyn's here, she's making 128. And our planning engineer is gonna make 133. So that's what I was kind of looking at these and going, I'm not an HR expert, but that really tells me that our salary scale is somewhere off. Now, if I look at the salaries at 5%, we would have handed out $2.3 million. But we're handing out an additional $2.7 million. So we're handing out $5.3 million in raises. So about 11% overall, but not everyone's getting that. A lot of people are getting less than 11. Some people get more than 11. I don't have a solution, but I'm bringing it up and saying we should look at these.
I mean,
If,
Terry and I talked about this and talked about this, but, she knows that I'm opposed, or I said I was opposed to a review of the salaries, because I've never seen one happen there. We didn't come out hundreds of thousands of dollars more than when we stepped into it. But she has done a lot of work. I would suggest there's nothing we can do tonight, like she said. She just brought it to our attention. And we shouldn't try to correct anything tonight. We really will make a bigger mess than we've got now. I would suggest that we move forward with the idea of possibly bringing the budget after we get settled this year, a review of the salary schedule. And that does mean that there can be corrections without taking away. You can make adjustments on increases to make them fit whatever we find out from salary review. But we probably will have to, I'll admit to you that even though I'm opposed to that, that may be what we we have to look at, but I don't think we'll be able to do it tonight.
So if I could just, a few of them then, not these maybe. Some of the ones that we did give additional raises to, if we could take a look at, say, the Register of Deeds in category 9. The Chief Deputy Register of Deeds. We have an additional amount in there, but they are at the top of the scale of non-sheriff people. And I don't know, this goes back to my whole, like, if we have a category of people, they should be somewhat lined up with each other. So if you looked at 9s, and you see that the deputy county clerk is making $65,000, but the deputy clerk in Register of Deeds is making $79,000.
So,
I'm just saying, we didn't never hit on them, but if you want to go forward, I'm good. It's just that there is some,
Well, I'm not saying this because the Register of Deeds is a constituent of mine. John is a constituent of mine, the Register of Deeds is a constituent of mine, and I don't know how many more, but, I'm just saying, I think you're onto something that needs to be reviewed. I think it needs to be a very elongated study by some professional that knows what
I
they're
agree.
doing. But I don't see that there's anything that we can safely do tonight, but I guess you have persuaded me that we do need to talk about this and review something. And it can be corrected along the way.
I'm just gonna add something real quick. I mean,
No, we can't do that.
here's your options. You're gonna cut or you're gonna add, and you're gonna, if you add, you're gonna looking at tax increase, potentially. So I'm not sure if you're talking about adding more money to the budget for recurring costs for salaries that we haven't budgeted for. I mean, if you're talking about, there's only two ways to do this. You go down or go up. And going up.
well, we're not cutting anybody because everybody's getting a raise.
Correct, but,
It's just a matter of how much of a raise they're getting.
Yeah.
but do you have a motion? I'll ask.
Can you pull up Registers of Deeds Department?
First, I want David, like, as far as the rest of our agenda we got tonight,
There's about 4 items. It's things like Josh had an email, we have one for the jail. And I've got them over here listed out, there's a few small items.
I'm just trying to,
Okay.
we're getting close to 9 o'clock here soon, so I'm just trying to figure out,
And
how much more do we have 5 more hours here tonight, or?
No. After the salary, we can talk about 4
Do you
items.
want to move this to workshop?
It's the,
Let's move this to workshop.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, library MOE.
This is one that, Ms. Boyd brought me the MOE, I had not seen it before the other day, but, and it's something the library board probably needs to bring to the attention of the state, but, if you look at my email I sent to Mr. Shove, the amounts that the cities give to the county, we appropriate, in other words, they flow through the county, they get appropriated,
Real
so.
quick, which page, these pages are double numbered? Here, so I'm not
It's the
sure.
179.
Am I going to the top number or the bottom?
Yeah, the bottom.
Okay, just wanted that.
That's why my email, not that.
179.
But if you look on page,
That's where
no,
they
mine,
put it
too
in,
far. But if you look on page 179, if you notice, I've got circled in red 2,734,760. And if you go to the next page, the actual budget is the 2,734,760, but the 117 from the cities is including that number. In other words, it flows through and we appropriate it back for books. So that, it looks like that 117 is counted twice. This is something, because, you're above the MOE amount, but if you put 117 in there, you're not. So this is something that the library board or whoever done the report here probably needs to bring to the attention of the state, that the bottom number should be the 2,734,760. Top number's 117,000 too much.
You talking about this 2.8 million down here? Needs to be adjusted down.
It should be 2,734,760, and the top number should be 117 less.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we within MOE?
You will be, because your total's more than last year's budget if you look down every one, except for one because of insurance. But my understanding when I talked to you and when you had talked to the lady at the state, it was my understanding earlier,
report that all the MOE is this total number together down there. If you take our actual budget of 273,460 and you look on page of the general fund, this is how you can tell the look. It's on page,
Should be 2.6, it should be 2.9.
if you look on page 26, about 12 lines up, I'm just guessing, it says libraries. And you go across, if you look, your budget last year was 2,734,760.
Gotcha.
This year it's 2,766,205, which is a 1.15% increase.
Is there anything for us to do with this?
No, I just think that you may want to ask the library board to point that out to the state and have them make sure that they are aware that there's an error in the MOE report last year.
Is that something that you guys can do, or send an email to the library board, or do you need us to do it, or?
I can see that you guys are asking for.
Yeah, if you don't mind doing that.
I'll forward maps to the library board chair.
Perfect.
So this doesn't,
No, go ahead,
this doesn't reflect any kind of reduction. It just merely is a corrective measure.
They need to correct the report, because if they report 2,766 saying they had an appropriation of 2,851,760 last year, it looks like it's less, but it's not.
And our library board chairman is here tonight. Perhaps she has heard this and can take back to her people what has happened and what needs to be done next time to make this proper.
If we need to write a letter of explaining it and attach it to MOE as we turn it in, we'll do whatever is necessary to correct it.
We just need to make sure it's correct. I was going to make sure you guys are aware in case the state did come back and said that 2 million.
If you wouldn't mind forwarding that to her, that'd be great.
What I did want to do is after you guys approve the budget, it comes back, but you do meet MOE, but the question is the report's wrong, so I don't know if the state's going to argue on it.
All right, I'm gonna read this back into session, I realize I didn't do that. Item 6, purchase of tablets for health department to log into Kronos software.
This is a request for us to move forward implementing the health department with the Kronos, talking to Hal, and I don't think he's here tonight. There's issues with his network. It can be overcome with some tablets, and Robert, our IT director, is here tonight. But it's a request from the Financial Management Committee, and we're requesting, I guess, is it $1,900 with that amount to be added to the IT budget where they can buy it next year.
Is there any discussion on this? Have a motion?
Motion to discuss.
Second by Commissioner Boyd, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, we know that with the health department, very little is paid for by the county. And this, is this entire amount of these tablets being borne by the county?
You mean for the health department?
Yes.
Yeah, but they're like 19, but they're gonna be used for the county employees, the GA clothing service.
Okay, so the state has no responsibility here at all?
We're asking them to log in on our system using their resources. I don't know, that's probably for the amount of money you're talking. We can ask Hal, but I don't know if that's something you really want.
Well, I just, if we're.
I think it was at $1,900 maybe.
This passed through financial management?
Yes.
It's voluntary or?
We did not look at the actual cost, but from what I read through the emails, there have been problems in the past when they looked at Kronos implementation because they didn't want it on their state system, their computers. So I think that Mr. Tuttle's idea of using the iPads at a significantly small cost was a great idea. We stay out of their state systems. We've got some iPads there, they log in, they log out, and it's really insignificant.
We have a motion.
Okay, so we're doing this for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we tried to implement.
You have a motion to approve?
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second by Commissioner Brown, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Joint meeting with the Education Committee. What's this about?
You always have a joint meeting with the Education Committee each year. We will need to do the publication, we will need a education or a budget for the school department because it's part of our publication. So there needs to be a joint budget education committee or whatever mechanism you want to use to approve a preliminary school budget to publish.
Well, we're meeting on the 15th, so is education gonna meet with us, or can they just meet? I mean, does it have to be joint? I mean, I know that
It doesn't
started.
have to be, we can have them do the week.
Do what?
It has to be joint.
That's
They
state law?
historically have, but they.
That's not, it has to be.
Well, I mean, that's what it's always,
No, it had always been.
well, that's why we did it last year.
So, I mean, yes, you could invite them to have that meeting at 4 with you guys, or,
They can,
is theirs the week before?
I mean, is there any detriment in them doing their own meeting? I mean,
Not that
they're
I'm
just,
aware of.
because they gotta put it in the budget anyway, so.
Not that I'm aware of. If they approve it on forward the budget, then you'll have it the night of,
15th?
the 15th to put into yours if you approve it and publish. If not, then we may be looking at August for the budget. Or how it goes.
We might be doing that anyway.
If you don't have a tax rate or,
I mean, 5 years ago, we didn't do the budget till August 19th.
right. But the only reason I mentioned to do it in July, if you do run into problems, it gives you more time to deal with the problems and go into August.
So you're asking for a joint education budget meeting and then another budget meeting and then full commission?
I think that kind of what you're mentioning may make sense, is to let education approve it, so you don't forward, there's no requirement, or the same night of the budget, either one.
I mean, I'm just not making a comment, so.
I just mentioned it because there needs to be some mechanism to get the approved education budget to the budget committee for approval or disapproval, and if they disapprove and send it back again, then we've got to wait for their next draft.
Yeah, but here's, let's say you do a joint meeting 2 weeks before, they get passed through there, they can still fail a budget. I mean, so,
Of course, if it passes or fails.
I mean, I don't see this, I don't get the reason for the redundancy at this point, but that's just me. I'm just,
The education meets the week before, don't they?
they need to, yeah, I mean, they definitely have to meet before, but, I mean, they don't have to.
So if they're meeting that week before, that normal, then they could just approve the budget, send it on to you guys, and we can put it on the agenda.
I mean, it's gonna happen, I'm just saying, if you got education and budget meeting, a joint meeting, then you're gonna have a budget meeting 2 weeks later again, or a week later again, to do the same thing.
Right, I think the reasoning for the joint one historically was to allow the schools to make one presentation, the way they wouldn't be making the same one twice, and maybe, that was the only reasoning that I'm aware of with that joint meeting.
Mr. Chairman, does it show a spirit of trying to reach out and work with them? I see a little bit of a positive in it if we can get enough people to participate, be involved.
Are you looking for a date, or what are you looking for here? There's, I mean,
The 15th would be good, you could do the joint, what they've done before, they've done the joint at the beginning of the budget, or you could even, say if you started yours at 4, you could actually recess, have the joint, go back into session, but that way they couldn't make it early enough. You could do it on the 15th.
or you're asking budget to meet on the 8th, or whatever that,
Well, I was saying you get really two good options. One, just the education committee meeting on the 8th and send it forward, or the budget can meet on the 15th, and then you could have a joint one on the 15th. That'd be a good option too. If they had one right before you did, they could pass all their items on too. Just a thought, unless you wanna go on the 8th also.
motions or thoughts, open discussion?
Well, like I say, previous commission, they did it that way. We did like that last year.
You wanna have-
Matt is the one that,
So you want to have education, you're going to have, somebody going to ask education if they're going to move their meeting to the 15th? Or you're going to,
So you wanna move yours completely back to the 8th because you probably need additional time, and the tax rate probably won't be ready.
I don't want to move it to the 8th, but
That's your reason for things with the tax rate to give the assessor's office a little time. Top the tax rate.
can speak for the education committee.
Tax year, it's all.
yeah.
Can I make a motion that Mr. Long works out some dates and gives us some options?
Well, I mean, that's really probably your best two
Is
options
it?
there.
So we gotta make a decision.
Well, I mean, they're your best two options, and you can do anything, but the best two options, one, just let them meet on the 8th and pass the budget on and have yours, or if you wanna join, everybody can have the 8th or the 15th, they go to the 8th and join, and then have another one, or have the.
I won't be here
on the
on the 8th,
15th.
so.
I'm saying you could have start your meeting at 4.
Education meets the first Monday, which is July the 1st.
Oh, so it's even earlier.
Yeah, It made July 1st.
And that's probably gonna be a problem anyway.
Yep.
So by your rules, you want it going through education, because by the private act, it just goes through budget, but that's your guys' rules, is all this stuff is.
I'm just talking about the 1st and the 8th, you're gonna wanna give yourself as much room to get the rest of the dust to settle on this other issue.
I'm personally just towards, I mean, I don't care what education does is what education wants to do, but, I mean, we've moved our meeting to the 15th, so.
We just need to send an email requesting that they consider the budget this month and send it on to the budget committee.
The budget committee is not gonna be on the 8th.
Nope. I mean, we're meeting on the 15th. We've already moved it. We voted on that beginning.
I know workshop, but the committee meeting is also.
No, because we have other committee meetings on the 8th. It's another Monday. Education meets the first Monday, which
Yeah, I
is the
know.
1st, so
Yeah.
it would not be the 8th. That's not their normal, for either,
No, I know, budget is
Normally.
normally on the 8th, second Monday.
you could do it that Monday.
You have to.
You'd have to do it, I guess, you'd have to do it the 8th, not the 1st.
You could do it joint with them on the 1st, if you're just doing a joint, you do your regular 15th. The reason for the 15th is to allow the tax rate to be done, so.
Yeah, I mean, we still need to keep the 15th. My opinion, the 15th is regardless of what, if somebody's got a motion, I'm gonna vote against a joint, so whatever you guys wanna do. You're not getting a motion from me.
I'm quiet because I don't have a holiday scheduled.
You want me just to request the education, or request the budget from the education committee, send an email? I'm not sure who to send it to, but at this point.
I'm fine with
For what? Which one, you suggested?
Or you could put it as a discussion item on the commission agenda to figure out how it's gonna pass through, since there's a question on the budget committee right now, or the education committee.
I mean, the education committee meets on the 1st. They've already got a scheduled meeting. Whatever issues they have, it will be resolved on the 1st.
Well, we've got 3 committee meetings on the 1st as well, right?
You have education, you have highway, and,
General ops.
general ops, education, emergency services.
Yeah,
and
so-
firearms.
Just to simplify it, I could just have our staff to put the education committee on the education budget on the 15th, and then, we could request it from the director of schools and put on there contingent upon education committee's approval, if you wanna do it that way. However you guys wanna get it over here, or to your committee.
I'll leave it up to the committee, what you guys want to do as far as joint or separate, so I'm not gonna, I'll wait for you guys to.
Mr. Hyde, you have more experience in this than the rest of us. Which do you think is the best option?
I would prefer the reach out to the board, but that's entirely up. That doesn't mean that you're committing yourself in any way, but it's showing that you're reaching out. But I'm not a member of the committee except ex officio, and I can't make a motion, but if I could make a motion, it would be the 15th.
Joint.
It's a joint.
For a joint education committee and a budget committee on the 15th.
For like the
That's what
first,
Your recommendation.
that would be for the first hour of our 4-hour meeting or whatever that's gonna be.
Starting at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, starting at 4 o'clock.
You could do it anytime.
Yeah.
If they, as I was saying earlier, if they couldn't make it, the education members, you could start your meeting at 4, recess and have your joint, go back, but they've done that before too. You've got all kind of options that'll make it work.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for a joint, since we've done that last year.
Don't adjourn the meeting if you're gonna continue, just recess it.
Based on Mr. Hyde's recommendation as well.
I have a question. So will they meet their regular scheduled meeting on the 1st? And then turn around again and meet on the 15th?
Meet us on the
That's
15th.
what, yeah, the education meeting twice.
I think they met twice last year. I'll second it.
All right, motion and a second for a joint budget education committee meeting on the 15th of July. a time yet to be determined. Sound right?
Sounds right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, budget hearings.
That's the same one, probably on the 15th would be the day of the budget hearing, so we'll list those out.
All right. Publication of budget,
We've already discussed that one.
continuation budget resolution.
That's the one I passed out the email from Ms. Norfleet and from Sheriff's Department. Your appropriation resolution only allows for 1/12 of expenditures and includes major capital and other items unless approved specifically by the county commission. So she sent several items on the list, and some of them we may get done in June, some of them we may not, it's not clear. First one, they mentioned the ambulances and the Westmoreland EMS station, and they want to continue on that process.
So what are we asking for here? I'm sorry. I mean, we're doing.
Basically, if you do a continuation, a resolution, or continuation,
Correct.
you only get 1/12 of expenditure. So we have several major capital projects that are in the middle of various places.
Is that in our package somewhere?
Page 191.
That's what we
is
passed
a
out in that
resolution.
email. So we asked for a list of the day, and Ms. Norfleet sent
It's
us
the
a
resolution.
long list of
Oh,
them.
the resolution.
These expenditures
Oh,
are-
10E. Thank you, sorry.
Since this is June, it'll have to be decided what you want on your continuation resolution. Which it would do it automatically, except for you probably want to do one where you can continue your major capital. Because otherwise, if there's not a PO out, then I'm gonna put a screeching halt to all capital projects. The first one's the courthouse and parking garage, and that one you probably definitely, which is the same one, Franklin Street, and you probably want to continue all those in July. For sure. Josh may know about a few of these. About a few of these, like the pedestrian bridge, and everything about it, the road. Like some of these that she sent, you know anything about that?
I mean, it's a matter of political consequential.
I'm looking at this 191.
Probably the role would be too.
The last
We do, she
page
spend money in
Yeah.
July.
Yeah, there's, I
of
think
this
there's
page,
some
of
bills that
10E.
do.
I guess the last page is the continuing resolution. All those pages that look
Hey, Jeremy, you're gonna need to suspend.
Make a motion to suspend the
Do we do
rules.
POs?
Second.
We got a motion to suspend the rules. We got a second by
Second.
Commissioner Boyd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Hey,
Hey, I just couldn't find where we were at.
It's a summary at the back of this handout. It took me forever to get there. I was looking for it.
So these are, let me be clear what we're talking about. Anything that's a large capital project will have to be stopped. If it has a PO, if it has a PO, it's a moot point. It's already been budgetary expenditure. So anything that doesn't require a PO that you're gonna pay, or any new additional POs will be completely stopped when the budget's approved unless you specifically approve it for these capital projects.
So what are the highlights meaning?
That's the
Just the
one that
different
she,
projects.
and I started highlighting them and then we copied it from.
We hadn't finished highlighting them.
So right now, I think the first three there
Trying to break it out.
were for the courthouse parking garage, the Franklin Street stormwater, and the GDE interlocal. Those probably definitely need to continue on because we're in the middle of trying to complete those.
Right.
In July, we don't need to stop even if we need POs. The next one is New Shackle Island to the intersection. I'm not sure we've got a lot going on. That's why I was asking Josh.
Yeah, there's environmental work going on, and I don't know if we're about to pay anything over that month. I don't think there's anything where wheels are gonna fall off of it on that one necessarily if we don't roll that one over. The roll acres one can definitely, that would definitely just be in the next budget.
I think right now, the Brown Memorial Park, you stopped it anyway, and Jen Off's having one.
Well,
Except for the PO that exists. The PO that exists wouldn't be affected because it's already budgeted in the budgetary
I
expenditure.
think we've asked you to, what have we stop spending, yeah.
So take it out of the CR?
It'd come out then.
So it'll come out of the CR?
Yes.
If you don't want it to continue. The broadband ready, you approved it last month, wanting to move forward, you probably need to go ahead. The tribal funds, they've got some of this going on right now.
Can we, it's left to be obligated. When are we gonna talk about that obligated, what we wanna use it for?
Not tonight.
Got it?
Archives
What
roof
y'all moved it
improvements.
The archives roof, I think the bid's out there.
Workshop?
We moved it to workshop.
Not this piece.
So we got to go back on that because we have a unit, we're supposed to get an architect for that.
It needs to be a workshop.
I don't know, you said you were doing the architects.
I'm gonna workshop
She
it.
didn't tell us we needed to, but, well, she was
You
gonna,
said you needed to.
but we ended up needing an architect. We need to talk about that one. So somebody said we needed an architect for that one, for the real one, doesn't it?
You said we did, yeah.
At 41,000 we did? Or is that number
Replacing the
wrong?
air unit up there.
All right, so archives roof improvements, are we putting up continuation budget, do we need to put that in the workshop?
We replaced it, needs to be done in July or,
I was waiting on you.
did you send me an email?
Okay.
I don't know what's going on with that.
That was a geothermal unit?
It was a geothermal unit and we're replacing it with a modern unit that's not
A
geothermal.
regular
The
electrical
traditional
compressor
unit, yeah.
condenser.
But we were told that that's a structural change, we have to have an architect look at it. There's no finance.
I remember that now, because they wanted to move the geothermal stuff, and we tried to run it through, but our engineer wasn't necessarily comfortable doing that. From what I heard, is that correct?
I'm sorry.
On the geothermal, we were looking at the geothermal stuff, and I had not forgot about it too, because I thought we were going to talk about
I remember there was a discussion on,
Building.
you know, whether Marshall would be comfortable approving those plans or, you know, that's really outside his field.
That's what our original plan was, I get back to Marshall. But I think as far as it says selection, I think we're more just gonna let you run the RQ through us and review it. We didn't get together on that, I think there's some.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
They're gonna go long,
Where is the geothermal field, just out of curiosity, for the archives building?
I think the air guy told me, but I wouldn't swear, I think he said it was behind it, but I wouldn't swear.
I would think that it's behind it, but I'm not 100% sure.
Didn't we build it?
It's just servicing it.
Did we build a parking lot over it?
Oh, is that good?
We just need to know where this is. You can't do any major construction or anything unless you know where that field and those wells are located.
Right now, I think the proposal is removing the geothermal because it's not feasible, but we run into that, what that ends up being is that statute says if you do changes to the electrical and that you have to get an architect or engineer, so we're always back to that point now. It kind of pops back into that statute, and then there's another statute about selections, architects, and me and John need to get together how we're gonna do that. Because Kim usually selects them, but we're just gonna run RFQs, I think, some way.
Now, is that on the parapets? This is all for the HVAC?
Yeah, it's just the HVAC.
But I thought this is one before we even discussed this at other meeting. Yeah, we'll be back with that.
Was it Jeff that assessed it in maintenance, or?
Yeah, some guys.
Now, what you're talking about here with 41,000, that's the roofing repair.
Okay, that's the
Yeah, but we've
parapet.
had to take a step back from all of that because we have to replace that unit
Yeah.
up there.
Right.
Oh, okay, so this
So
ain't
we gotta
really-
replace that unit before we replace the roof.
So this part can wait after July, because I gotta do it in here first. So we won't go.
You
so-
can.
So we
All
can
right.
kick the archives roof off of that.
All right. ADA transition, we can kick that off probably, based on what Josh said on the other.
Other construction, Sumner County parks for
We can
$101,500.
kick that off.
HVAC program, equipment, county buildings.
That's as needed, so I don't think there's any HVAC units that need to be replaced
This is the one that we're working on
on the archives.
We
Yeah.
kick that off.
When we get to workshop, there's HVAC in the capital projects, like, I don't know, I was looking for it like 200,000. A workshop, if we could ask, if we could look at that number.
All right, well, continuing budget resolution, in the motion to approve this.
Well, you got on the back page, you do have the SWIG, we probably do want to complete that one, that's that water stuff that's not.
Oh.
Approve
most of these are kind of in like the Hendersonville Capital Investment Grant for the, Health Department, that's another one. The Hollows Drainage, Josh, is in the middle of that one too.
We're deep in that one.
Okay, so that needs to continue.
Oak Grove Volunteer Fire Department, you got that one.
And can I ask about, when can we talk about Oak Grove, because they're still waiting to get their deed or something, they'd like to get their building built before winter, and I know it's not appropriate here, but it needs to go somewhere. It's stalled
I think
again.
Kim's working on that, Oak Grove.
Yeah, we're just waiting on it, from the surveyor. As soon as it comes back, then we move forward.
I think she's working on
We just haven't gotten it back from him yet.
And septic, soils and all that has to be mapped, and so that's part, it's gotta be planted by the
They're doing
surveyor.
all of that to get the plat ready.
Okay, they just asked me.
Yeah.
You got the sheriff's best equipment, the EMS ARPA for Westmoreland, if you wanted to continue, I think the mayor's knee deep in that one too, if I'm not mistaken. Jail roof improvements, that one's probably pretty much time sensitive.
Yeah.
Ambulances are definitely time sensitive, we don't get those out, because I've been told it's an 18-month lead time on all these.
So, with the EMS building, have we bought land yet, or identified land? Is there a building there? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah, the land that we brought to the.
Gen Ops.
Yeah, so we're moving forward on that.
We got months ago.
Yeah.
Is that
We're
Westmoreland?
working with
Yeah.
Westmoreland.
That's, I'm
I was just-
waiting on a response, but, yeah, we're ready to set a closing date on that.
The comp plan, she said
That could
they
be-
should be removed too. So right now, it looks like, let me recap and make sure we're not missing anything. Those first ones to do at the courthouse, all the way to GDE interlocal agreement, these will be carried forward.
Right.
And two new shackles, ILS SR 258, we do anything with it currently?
Yeah, there's environmental work going on with it, I know, there's all kinds of stuff that the state is making us look at in that intersection, as far as culverts and stuff like that.
So the new shackle 258 intersection improvement needs to be carried forward.
Okay.
You said the rolling acres, that was okay to wait, so mark that one out. The William and Martha Brown Trust could be marked out. The Broadband Ready Communities, I think we're started on that, anticipate starting on that quickly. The rest of us will do it the tribal fund, which is time sensitive.
Is there a time on
The tribal fund, I think it is with the rest of us. but we can
it? I think we talked about it, and it doesn't, and it's,
Is it not?
and it doesn't have any restrictions. We can use that for anything. We should just get it, we should like use it for something and move on.
Okay, so we
Check, can you check for restrictions and time?
So do we want to carry that one over during this, not the?
Can you spend it before then?
Spend it before when?
Before, the end of the budget, the end of the year?
If they do, then it's a moot point. This is the stuff you're gonna be spending during the appropriation.
If it's still there, we carry it.
Do you want to carry it or not carry it until the budget's approved?
Sure, do I just saying we should spend it sometime.
All right.
We carry it. Carry it.
And the archive roof, we were gonna pass on for, or
I think so.
care, yeah.
The ADA plan, I think you said pass on that one. The other construction's park, I think that one you said pass HVAC and all these down through here. The comp plan you said was okay. And then the back, all those pretty much need to be carried forward.
All right, got a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
All fair side?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, items, I'm gonna say 11 and 12. We're still out of session, so we can keep going. Budget draft, budget workshop, we moved item 1, miscellaneous remaining budget items, and item 4, interdepartmental salary comparison into the budget workshop. So, do we, all right, what's left, David?
Okay, now let me point out the 3 items that we need to make sure we don't miss. One's your long-term planning, and I would recommend not looking at that until your next meeting, because it will not affect, or you could even look at it after that, because it will not affect your publication or your hearings.
Okay.
The second one is, and I've got the actual email from the state, is the one we discussed earlier, is it will not stop your budget, but it is the highway reserve. They recommend that you have 2 months' salary. He put 16%, which is 2 months of operations, 16 point something, but he put 16%, the guy from the state's their recommendation. They said if you have anything under 8%, they will give you a note in the letter that you're deficient. The highway currently, if she pops it on the screen, has a total of $590-some thousand, and if you click on those, Becky, it'll tell what those percentages are. He would have to have an ending reserve of that amount to meet 2 months of expenditures, or 2/12, and that amount for 1 month of expenditures. So he's short those amounts that are in blue down there. Just making a note, it will not stop your budget, but you will get a note from the state, or a letter from the state saying they want us to do cash flows and watch the fund.
How did we get so low?
Well, if you look at a couple things, kind of flip back up there. I'll get back down, but just a tiny bit. If you look, we're estimating his fund balance is going down. And me and Toby talked about that today. We don't really know where he's gonna end up and what items he's not gonna spend. He mentioned, possibly not spending some funds, but if you don't spend on this year and wait for the work for next year, we don't do anything except just shift funds to the next year to be spent. That's one of the things. So we're showing, if you look at the difference on those two fund balances, that's quite a bit of it right there. And then the other thing, if you look at, is the difference between revenue and expenditures next year. His revenues rose slightly, but his expenditures, same thing. He had a budget disparity last year too. His revenue slightly went down and his expenditure slightly went up, but he had about $1 million disparity last year too, which is why it's showing up over in here.
So
we carried the disparity.
when you're talking about this, are we gonna get worse, or is our balance gonna get less?
If you look at these last two, they did not go significant, there wasn't a significant change here, even though you budgeted fund balance. So it's gonna be based on two things: how conservative our revenues are, and I feel those are pretty conservative, and number two, what percent of his budget is he spending? Is really gonna affect those numbers a lot. If you look at the appropriations, there's another concern. You may just make sure you're aware of it. You click on the appropriations. Go down to the asphalt and make sure everybody does understand where we're at right now on that. There you go. His local asphalt, to balance his budget this year, is significantly less than what he spent and what he had budgeted this year. Plus the ARPA, the $1.4 million of ARPA is not available this year, so there will be, without the inclusion of money in capital, there will be a significantly less amount of asphalt this year.
I mean, I brought it up at the last meeting, that highway has increased like 40% over the last several years. We keep going this way, I don't know where we're gonna get the money. What about concrete? We all saw the bridge video this week. Are we building bridges?
Concrete's only got like $60,000 up there.
So we're not doing bridges?
No.
I don't
We
think
just
we're
got asphalt.
constructing new ones.
So that would be
That's on
like,
Nashville Road, that'd be a state bridge.
we have county bridges. Oh, the one on the video was not.
Yeah, that's Nashville Road.
I know. But we have county bridges. But I don't guess we're doing those.
All right, so what are our suggested options here for, you said it's $300,000, that's $396, what are?
You have two options. You can shift revenue over to his budget, cut expenditures, or leave it as is, and the state will give you a letter saying that we need to monitor cash flows, and they recommend a higher ending cash balance. That's really kind of the three options you have.
Now, any revenue we send his way increases the MOU, right?
Yes, he's on a 5-year average of
Okay.
revenues.
Did we cover his, did we cover it this year? How much?
Yeah,
So
you're
we're like, what are we like, over
You're probably
we
about
get
200 above.
200 above?
I guess. Maybe more.
Do we have a motion or suggestion, or we want to keep it as is? Or?
Is this something we can continue to look at month after month and make adjustments if we
Well,
need to
if-
give him something, or?
No, well,
Or-
there's a couple issues.
Do we need to have have highway go into this?
That, Josh.
If it goes to 0, will they come in? I mean, you say they're gonna send us a nasty letter. if it goes to zero, are they gonna send us an even nastier one?
Or do they throw us in jail?
I don't think so.
Oh, I'm sorry, they just made a note to me from down here. On the continuation and resolution, we need to include the resource authority bond on there, that went on that list. Cause it's a flow through to them.
I agree. We need to make I'll make a motion to include the resource authority on the continual resolution,
The bond.
the bond.
Favor second? Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Fine. Highway.
I say we send a message to Highway Committee to determine the best path. Because,
Here's where you're at. If you do that commitment for highway over in the capital projects, you could appropriate it year to year out of capital projects for asphalt. You can't move money over into the highway budget during the year because they have their separate tax levy. You got a tax levy for highway, you got a tax levy for schools, you got a tax levy for debt service, you got a tax levy for the general fund, so you can't shift money between those funds because it's tax dollars.
so
So we can't
Highway
just
is
put
gonna
more money
cause
in.
us a tax increase. Maybe.
I mean, we were looking at doing $20 million in capital for highway for 3 years. That's what was a proposal before. But like, talking about $300,000. So are we able to adjust that within our budget and just give them an infusion of capital that doesn't increase the MOE?
This is kind of what CTAS says, that they don't count the money in the capital projects fund toward the MOE calculation. When you look at the statute, it says you have to appropriate the 5-year average of local revenue funds. The money that we put into the capital projects funds is property tax, which are local funds. So myself, I don't necessarily agree with their point of view, but they're the ones that are doing the determination if we meet the 5-year average, and according to them, the capital money's not gonna count in there.
My concern is they come back in 2 or 3 years and they say we were mistaken, it really was property tax. And highway MOE will go up.
That was my reading of it as well.
That it's property tax. I mean, it is local revenue. We're just
BMOU.
moving it around. Yeah, I think that they would have a good case to say it increased in MOE. I agree with these.
All right, so but
CTES is something different on that. But for this, I don't know.
Right now, you're not projecting a deficit in his budget unless he overruns his expenditures or something significantly bad happens in revenues. He's not gonna have a deficit, but he's just not gonna meet the recommended reserves, and I was just making you guys aware of it.
How many years has Highway Department not met the recommended reserves?
He made it last year, the year before he did, and we got a letter for, and they're online, I had to monitor cash flows for at least 2 to 3 years, and has it been over that maybe? Yeah. And I have the little form where we send the cash flows to we didn't this year because they made the percentage, but we send that cash flow sheet to the commission every month. So this is what their cash flows
What's
are.
gonna break if we meet the obligation?
Nothing, we'll just get that letter, and then we'll, present cash flows to the county commission each month, our best estimates.
But what's gonna break if we just go ahead and
Nothing, I'm just making you guys aware.
go ahead
I didn't
and
want.
allocate the money?
Allocate the money.
As far as like, you said we had, like, 396, 386, what was the number, that we were, very first screen? You said we were 339.
Okay.
That's our problem right there.
Right.
So what's stopping us from fixing it now?
Just have to cut expenses for $339,000 or allocate, property tax from somewhere else.
I have
That'll raise MOE.
I have an idea. If we move the lady that does the purchase orders and the payroll over to the finance department, that should free up $100,000 maybe.
Is that a motion?
I'm open for discussion.
Second.
Well, we're out of session, so.
So there's 2 clerical. He has 2 clerical, right? So finance and the private act say that purchasing and payroll are in finance, so if we put the cost of one of those employees and put them over in finance and have them do payroll and purchase orders. And that would free up some money.
Okay.
And this is just to keep it in MOE, but we'll increase David's
Well-
MOE.
Right.
He doesn't have one.
Oh.
We can cut all their salaries.
This might not be wrong. But I'm pretty down right.
I'm sorry, but it's true, I mean, and the state doesn't look at his line item. I mean, I'm not saying that, the state doesn't look at finances line item. They do look at Toby's, or the highway.
With the 5-year average, but let
I
me
mean,
say
I'm-
one thing, I was talking to Toby today, we did most, if not all, his bids this past year, and he's anticipating we continue to do that, so we have, moved over, the bidding, and then when I talked to him today, he did say that he was wanting to do the chronos, he just wanted to wait till we got a few more down the road, and he said he would be willing, or would like to, or maybe be willing to look at purchase, or POs next year. He just didn't want to bite off everything at one time, that's kind of what he said to me today. And he might be willing to look at it. And I hate to speak for him, but I talked to him today.
Is that his decision or financial manager?
It's really the financial management's, but he was, as far as the bidding, he did move this over this past year.
Is that administrative assistant making $114,000? Oh, it's two people.
All right, so.
Thank you.
Is there a motion, or do we want to just keep this as is for right now?
I'd make a motion to move one of those clerical out. That would give him more room, but I don't know, without Toby here, I wouldn't feel comfortable with it. But it's an option for him. I mean, it would relieve him of some budget money, or some financial. But without him here, I'm not. It's just a difficult position.
Well, option is fill that gap or just wait it out for right now. So I don't hear a motion to do anything on it, so, all right, let's move on.
Okay.
Next, we got an email from the planning, and let me describe it. He has the planning commission. They're required by statute to have training each year, and the county's required to pay it. Josh does provide in-house training that does meet the requirements, but some of the members, or at least one member at this point, wants to go to the outside training, and I think he's passing out the email. Josh sent us the estimated cost, so he has made a request to see if you're willing to fund the outside training. But to be clear, Josh is fulfilling the statutory requirement. He does provide in-house training right now, so he's.
It's very, very exciting, very interesting, and they really enjoy it, I think,
I enjoy it.
so.
And he says the estimated cost, if you ever go externally,
It's gonna be for the BZA too, so it'll be planning commission and BZA.
$9,000 a year. But as I'm saying, he is providing the statutory requirements. You don't have to prove it, but Josh is making the request.
If we have one member that would like to attend the conference in East Tennessee essentially, and asked me if I would ask, so I'm asking. And so in the name of fairness, I don't know that we can just pay for one person. It would be enough to send everybody somewhere, or pay for some kind of training for everybody. And I don't know what that would cost or who would want to do it, so I came up with a cost of $750 per member. So seven planning commission members and 5 BZA members.
And how long is the seminar?
It's an out-of-town conference, and so out for several days. It'd be, travel and conference and hotel and all that stuff, so.
I'd rather see this the next budget cycle personally, but we could take it out of Commissioner Schmidt's travel budget for.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion to take zero out commissioner travel down to zero and put it in this. That's my motion.
What, run that by me again?
Well, there was a $10,000 request for commissioner travel, which I'm wholeheartedly against, because a lot of that can be done online. So I would like to just take that 10,000, zero it out, and then give it to Mr. Southern's department, because I can just tell you, he's gone above and beyond my expectations with the situation behind our subdivision, and I mean, he's proven to me that, that his work is invaluable. Everything they've done, I just can't ask for more, so that would be my motion. Because I don't think commissioners, I think, you can take training online. That's my take. And I'll just go back to the $500 a month stipend that commissioners get. They can use that $500 towards, if they want to travel, go crazy, get you a hotel room, knock your socks off. That's what $500 a month is for commissioners. So in the case here, where this guy has done A+ job in my district, representing my constituents' concerns with so many different things with that neighborhood, I feel strongly that we do that.
This isn't for Josh, you know that, right? This
No,
is for
I get it, but his department, you know.
If you want to throw somebody in there for me to go to
No,
Hawaii
but
or something.
I know it's not for him, but, you know, his leadership in that, I mean,
So-
it just.
And I do go to training and I do pay for my own, and this year it's probably coming close to $1,800.
Yeah.
So, and I learn a lot, and I'll tell you what I told Mr. Hyde. He said, could you come back and give us a summary of what you learned? And I said, as soon as somebody gives me, you know, the $150 it cost them to go to that conference.
I get it, it's just, you know,
Well, we should all not be it, we should all not go to training.
but it is available online.
No, not these things, not these things that you get at the conferences where you have CTAS, they're telling you the things they want you to hear, that's not online.
Well, that's a personal decision that.
All right, do we have a
somebody's
motion
not
to
helpful.
approve this or not?
Don made a motion.
That's my motion.
Okay, we have do we have a second
No.
to Don's motion? All right, motion dies for like a second. Is there a motion to approve this request or do it in the legislative roll to the next budget? cycle?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve the request. Is there a second? All right, motion dies for like a second. All right.
But it is a good segue to an item also with travel, which I'll bring up in a minute.
No, go ahead, I'll let you get it. I want to make sure I didn't.
So the
Where are we
election
at?
commission,
So,
if you
what's
look
next
in-
on our agenda item? David,
Let me grab the one item before I forget. The jail medical bid came in. You have that email from Mr. Craddock.
Yeah, but you didn't want me to make copies.
Yeah, just go ahead and tell me the amount. That's fair. We're short about,
You can do it.
we don't have a, we don't have a sheet for this
Brad, I
one.
was gonna write something down, whatever it came up to be.
It's an increase in medical.
we're short about
oh, the
Okay, okay, our, medical and dinner services came in. He's saying right now that we have reviewed the bids and believe that Fast Track Health, they came in at $2 million, whatever, it was $100,000 cost, which is $2.3 million. If you can pull them up on the line there, that's all they have in the line's about $1.9 million, so they're about $400,000 short. And I've got another copy over here.
So you need a motion to increase that by 400,000?
That's a $2,382,266.21 was the low bidder today.
I'll make the motion to bring that amount up to what they request.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second
All right, all in favor say aye. Any opposed?
And that's contingent upon that bidder being good before, which is what we could tell today they were good. And that is the last item that I had. Sorry, Ms. Boyd, I cut you off earlier about that travel.
All right, it's your last item for, that we deal with the miscellaneous remaining budget items? Is
Well, I
that-
think Ms. Boyd had one about travel that
I have a couple, but if I could go to travel, if you,
Travel, which page?
travel, the election commission has increased their travel to 8,300.
Why?
I don't work for the department.
See if there's a note on this.
Do you have a page for that in our budget?
I'm looking.
On the screen, there's no notes. They're on page.
Jeez.
So I sent everybody, I did an email, and I sent it out with all the departments' travel and dues. Mr. Smith said he didn't receive it. I don't know if y'all did. I don't know if it went out.
Page 36 and 7.
Did you get an email from these in?
I didn't look for that. I was scrambling when I left the office.
And, you know, I'm always about fair, so if we want, I mean, I might go back and reconsider Josh's request. Some of these, if I look at them, I mean, the travel for, EMS is 10,000, but they got a lot of people. Ag has got 8,000 in travel. The assessor's office has travel of 7,000, but this one, if we could take care of election commission first. That just hit me as a huge increase. I
Yeah, it
think that
is.
there was a citizen that called me and they were at the election commission meeting, and they said that they all decided they could go to Nashville to some meetings and they could just put it in the budget.
Do you wanna move that back down to fiscal year 2024?
2,500?
Not 25.
Or, I'm sorry, the estimate, I was looking at the estimate. Well, you know, if we go back to 2022, we got 1,000, we got 1,100. And then it jumped from 1,100 to 1,700 to 3,300 to 8,500. I mean, these are small amounts, but if we're gonna talk about,
You wanna put it down to 3,500?
yeah.
All right.
Because again, this is another department with an MOE.
Why does it even need to be $1,000 increase?
I don't know. I was just accepting the
You need to knock
suggestion.
that down to 500 in the motion.
We can make that 500.
All right.
I'll make a motion to make it 500.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
They can transfer money around to it. So that was the one that jumped out at me the most. So I don't know if y'all got the email, but I went through and I looked at everyone's travel. So it's not that I find Josh's request out of line so much, in that some of the bigger ones, I mean, highway has travel, not much, 2,500. What do you see, Mr. Klein?
10,000.
10,000 for EMS. I don't know what their travel is. Ag has 8,000 in travel. Do you want me to tell you the high ones? I mean, I think the sheriff is fine with 36,000. I think they're sending all their people somewhere. The assessor's office has 7,000 in travel. I know Mr. Smith won't vote for it, but I'd like to go to the National County Commissioner meeting. The NACO, if y'all'd like to pay for that, it's about $3,000. I'd like that. I'll just put in my request. You know, you won't pay for the state one, but would you pay for the national? No? I didn't think so. Tried.
I didn't pay for anybody's travel, so you know my answer's gonna be no.
Is there any, so, the mayor has 6,000 in travel. The county attorney, maybe you could speak to it, Mr. Attorney. 2,000 in travel, what do you do? Is that training and travel?
Most of those are, I go to a seminar for the county attorney, Tennessee County Attorney Association. That takes it right into it, and then it's basically if I've got to run around, go to court, things of that nature. I don't know how much we used last year.
You gotta drive to Nashville,
Oh, yeah, like, that is true. I completely forgot about that. I've got to go to Nashville for status meetings and sit in on mediations and things of that nature, depositions. Oh, parking, yeah.
Anyways, I was just bringing it up, especially since Josh brought it up. So we do have these departments out there. I don't know if this committee wants to see. Veterans, they have travel for 7,000. I'm sure they're going to some state event somewhere traveling.
I do all mine online, so I got like $500.
Again, online. So do we
I've
want,
seen,
maybe
like, one or two.
there's nothing we can do right now, but maybe we need to have a policy maybe that's what this feels like. We need to have a county policy on how people can determine where they can go, and then maybe we look at it. If, you know, if these are state events, if these are, national events, we've had people go to other states for training, and Mr. Smith can write the part about if there's online training or local training, but the BZA people can get it locally too. So I guess if I could ask legislation to address this. I mean, it's not that material, but it does seem to be something we don't have any guardrails on.
I try to do all mine online.
I think, Mr. Chairman, that Terry is really on to something that we need to look at and review, and I think I know we had travel at the Board of Education, and some things were really educational and beneficial to bring back and help the school system. And then there were things that I really questioned. I cut my travel about down tremendously from when Dr. Hubbard was there, primarily because I've never been on an airplane in my life and don't plan to get on one. But in any event, my budget was cut down. I just didn't travel that much, but there are some good things out there. But if there's one thing in a budget that can be abused more than anything else, it's travel. And we do need to have some method of looking at that and reviewing that.
I don't know what that method would be, so if there's a motion.
Well, if we look at, and I know it's tedium, but if we look at previous years, what those actual travel expenses were, and what the seminar was, or what.
If you go out to eat, the price of food has doubled in 2 years.
I understand.
And so you're looking.
I understand, but it.
Okay, no big difference. Okay,
It-
never mind. It doesn't affect it per diem. So it's just feature creep.
And then along with,
Budget creep.
and I'm not volunteering to do this, make a policy. I would say Mr. Long's office could come up with us something. But when I was looking at travel, I also noticed dues. They need to go in the same category. We have dues going from, the lowest dues I think was archive, or veterans has $200 in dues. There might be a smaller one. Oh, the coroner has $75. But we have another department that has $21,000 in dues. So maybe dues and travel, I don't know what they are.
Well, the commission has a budget of $40,000 in dues, so why don't we cut that?
Well, you know, I did look at what those are if you wanna know. I mean, those are, most of that money is GNRC, 21,000.
Well, why are we paying $21,000 in dues?
Who's that for?
GNRC.
I thought we weren't funded.
Need to do something with that.
And then the transit, if I could bring us back to a discussion we had at last meeting, we gave money to the regional transit, but we also pay memberships dues to them for $6,124. I sent y'all all this in an email, I'm sorry. I didn't print it.
She sent it to the entire county, so you guys did get it.
Yeah. So we are a member, we pay dues to regional travel, or to the regional transit of $6,000, and I forget what we gave them in charity. Does anybody know?
I think it was 55.
So I'm just saying that we double hit everywhere, and we're just, because they're not together, we don't see it, but that's what's in that 40,000,
Gotcha.
part of it.
So there's nothing for
The TCSA has $6,400. The county mayors, I think, because it was kind of cut off on the thing I looked at, is $2,400. There was one, it was like,
Why is the county commission
County
paying?
mayor's comes out of the county mayor's budget.
did it move? And it was on that email, I think. I couldn't read, I think it was, and that's fine if it's down there.
It was
It just got
originally paid
moved,
there, but
yeah.
it was JE to the mayor's
I
budget.
thought so, I thought I saw something.
What is
like that.
the commission, so why is the commission paying $21,000 to the GNRC?
That was a conversation we had about 4 months ago, and at that point, we said, can accounting tell us how much the money was? And then I went back and I grabbed that email, And that was, if you have the email I sent, you'll see it at the bottom.
I see it.
And you'll see that we started that conversation 3 or 4 months ago.
I'm not speaking for or against the NRC, because I don't know that much, but I know in past budget years, there's always a discussion with the NRC was involved in a lot of the grant processes. I don't know personally.
They're involved in the grant process?
You know, if you're trying to obtain grants, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard this. I mean, I'm not saying it's a
They're
bad
very
thing.
helpful in-
I'm just saying that we should be aware of what's in these dues. I'm just wanting to put guardrails around it.
Well, do you have a motion?
I think I made a recommendation that the finance department comes up with us a policy on how we can put some guardrails around travel and dues and some procedures in place if we don't have them.
We have travel policy. It doesn't address.
It doesn't address.
But it's to address what you claim for your travel, and it says it has to be for necessity of your job and the county for even IRS purposes you do. We watch for anything that's, we would think's not business or county related.
So.
I'm just saying for budget that's out there, and I just want to bring it to your attention.
But what is this policy gonna do? I need you to define that for me a little bit more.
I would like us to know if the travel is out of state. I think Commissioner Smith would like to know if they have the option of doing it online or locally
Save money. It's
to
okay.
save money.
I mean, like some stuff, like I would think like EMS and stuff, that's gonna be hands-on, you know, I don't know, I can't speak for them, but I would think some of that stuff is gonna be, you know, they're gonna have to actually do reenactments, I guess, I don't know, you know.
Well, they do a lot of that on Airport Road as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just speaking, I mean, like I said, I can't speak to them, but I would
Yeah.
I
imagine.
just say like, my
Sheriff's
dues-
Department says 36,000.
my dues and memberships are things like the AICP and stuff involving training, TSCPA.
Well,
So we have a motion by Commissioner Boyd. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right.
So,
Dave, are you amenable to her request? Is that doable?
We'll,
or-
we'll look at something and kind of write up a little something so that you guys look at it. I'm not exactly sure.
Well,
We'll try to come, I'll send her an email about something. see if
I'd like to
we can-
offer an amendment.
Okay.
I'd like to see a delineation of all of these expenses in that.
So,
They're on their email.
You've
Yeah,
got, well, you've
it's on
got
the
them all
email.
already?
I went through and
Through every
pulled.
department?
No, I don't think I did because somehow I
Okay, well,
missed
that's what I'm
Mid-Cumberland.
saying, each one of these departments.
Because Mid-Cumberland's, we pay dues to them of 21,000. I saw it during the opiate review, but I couldn't find it.
Well,
That's what it's
Um,
under non-contributions.
Under contributions.
All right, we got an amendment. Do we have a second to that amendment?
David seconded.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, main motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Let's move on. What else we got?
I'd like to also make an emotion after that, if Mr. Long could break out travel from training costs, if it costs $2,000 from a hotel for a $100 seminar, I think we should, can we break out
Well, there's one-
education?
Well, it should be, there's a dues and memberships, and they're already broke, it should be. There's
It
the dues and
is.
membership,
And
tuition, training, yeah.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
just food and hotel stuff and travel, yeah.
That's all that is?
Should be,
Mileage.
and mileage.
Mileage, that's all. Okay.
All right.
Airlines, if they
Thank
have an
you.
airline.
We're gonna move
Sorry.
on from travel.
Mhm.
Sorry, Terry, but
No,
I'm
no,
gonna wrap
fine.
this up. Where are we next, David?
I think she was on to the only thing we got left is that I'm aware of is the salary sheet.
Interdepartmental salary comparison.
Yes, sir.
Didn't we move that
We
to?
moved.
We
Yeah.
moved that to
We're
workshop.
Are we
We
up?
are.
Are we
I
in the
think it's about
workshop?
to finish the workshop.
So I have a question
Oh.
before we go back.
That's what.
I'm sorry, if y'all want me not to.
No.
I had a question about that HVAC, because it was on the continual resolution. I know that in, capital projects, we have HVAC that we've approved, and I'm just wondering if those are the same thing or different things? The ones that were on the continual resolution?
Those last bottom ones, you guys truncated off, not all.
We did,
She
so,
had the HVAC and about 4 or 5 items on the bottom.
We've already
So-
dealt with this, so this is not part of the budget workshop. I'm confused where you,
I didn't understand why it was on.
I think she's asking
we
if
didn't
it's the
move
same
it.
ones up there.
I didn't understand why it was on the continual resolution.
Oh, no, that's different, I'm sorry.
I mean, if there was a budget for a capital project for HVAC,
This is what you gotta think about.
and we
When,
were,
when
We
we're
just-
in the month of July, you're on
30 minutes
continuing
time.
resolution, so anything in next year's budget is not utilizable that's capital. You're utilizing, no, this stuff's not available yet, you've got to specifically approve whatever it if that makes sense. If it's in that budget and we have error and he needs to do it, he can't do it until you go to the actual budget when it's approved.
Does he have money?
That was on that continuing resolution.
And we canceled it.
I think so, the last time we kind of, the last few, so in the month of July, if he says, if it's an emergency, the statute and our private act both say it doesn't exclude emergency, so if he comes in and one breaks down, we can still fix it. It's just if he's doing major capital repairs that aren't an emergency. Let me be clear about that, we're allowed to do that.
Any other questions on that? Interdepartmental salary comparison, that's, you asked us to be moved, so where are we, what's your recommendation or motion, Terry?
So I was just pointing out that some of the departments are higher than other departments. So I was saying, if you look at the register of deeds, they're consistently higher than our other departments. And I don't know why.
We moved that to the workshop.
We're in
Are we in
the
workshop?
workshop. We've been in a workshop this whole time.
Yeah, well, that's those items I was telling you, that are items for a workshop.
Then the next one was highway.
The highway started the workshop discussion. When we started at the highway, we were in the we moved to the workshop.
But this department does have the 5 and
This is the last
does have the 5 and
of the
6
workshop.
cost of living.
Divide.
Yeah, I didn't know what he did.
I'd like to ask a question. At our last, maybe it was our last workshop meeting, we determined that a lot of the work that we had done in individual salaries was, in the end, pretty much just a suggestion, and that we had no control over who gets paid what.
True.
So what do, and maybe this is a question for Mr. Lawing, but do we make a decision on how much to spend for labor by department? Where?
Line item.
Okay, so,
So if we look at here's an example.
yeah,
And this
give me an
sheet's the same
example.
one that's on the screen,
Okay,
And it kind of, these line items will pop on your actual budget, that's what I'm calling a line item. The registered deed salary herself is an actual line item. The amounts for her deputies for the $423,000, based on 2 there, $110,000, that's a line item. The part-time personnel is a line item. The longevity total's a line item, the health's a line item, it goes like that. So the level of control is at the line item level.
okay, and do we know how many employees are in that line item?
Yeah, it's in this worksheet right here.
Okay,
Yeah, every one of your
4?
worksheets are for that.
okay. Then I think the way to simplify this is to go by a line item and approve a budget by line item that we think is fair and equitable. And then when we do the labor study, then we can increase them at a later date. And I realize this is a mammoth project, but we're talking about, increases of 30% in 1 year, which I've never heard of in my life. And then, if we do something that's equitable, fair, and has great parity between departments, we can do it at the line item level. And, so if there's 9 people, and we know that they're all supposed to be roughly $85,000, that's what the line item is.
You gotta remember a couple other things. The sheriff, you cannot decrease his amount or number without his consent by statute. Number 2, some of these departments, the constitutional officers, have a right to petition for additional funds if they don't think you've provided them adequate funding for the department. So there is some limits on things even down into that.
Okay, well, I don't know what all those limits are, but I'm willing to learn about them, because we're that's what this whole exercise is about, is parity between departments and between job classifications, so, okay.
So, and to emphasize what Mr. Long said, I'm sorry.
Let's let Bob go.
On your sheet right here,
Yep.
you have a job class.
Yep.
How is this determined?
It was done, that's
I
what I
mean,
was saying earlier.
this is not done like, you know, the federal government has GS, SES, and they have a pay scale that they delineate all of their levels on, but I don't understand this one right here because we have two 15s at the top. One of them's 130,000, the other one's 87,000. That doesn't make sense.
What's the
to
difference
me.
on the year of services?
Well, true. Well,
Not
really.
That
That's
doesn't
from
make
the
sense.
salary survey we had done.
Right, that's.
But I'm just saying,
That's who
that's
determines.
kind of weird that two
This-
15s, and you have such a
Well, they're only a year apart too, yeah, there's some
50.
disparities there,
Yeah.
big
So-
disparities.
$50,000,
But how this was
$40,000 difference.
determined a couple of years back, and that's what I'm saying, this is a couple of years old. They actually hired a firm to come in. They actually did surveys, questionnaires, job descriptions, and then surveyed the local job market and came up with the different scales based on, you know, the requirements of the job, the market, the training, and then came up with what they thought the market was. So that's how the different groups came up.
So maybe I can show you what Beth, can you go to the salary comparison this sheet we're on?
I don't have.
Oh, you don't have that?
Yeah, it's on there, Beth.
So if you,
No, she means on the screen.
so if you look at the registered deeds right here, we're bringing them up to 79,000. And again, it comes back to comparing the offices. So I have a chief deputy there that we're gonna bring up to 79,000. But if you go down like a dozen lines, you'll see that my county clerk deputies are only making 67,000. So we have people in, one office we're gonna bring them up to 67, but another office are gonna bring them up to 79. So
You have two
they should be the
options.
same person. Well,
Reduce them or increase them?
Well,
So
and that's-
which one do you want to do?
I don't see, in job category 9, the average
Go back
is
on registered.
72,000. So I don't see bringing up the registered deeds to 79,000. I think we're over, and we never went to this level. And so I'm just saying, this is the top one right here underneath the sheriff's. And I'm just looking at it, and I'm saying, you know, is this, and again, I'm not HR.
This is
But once we give the money, we can't go back, and it's a big difference. I don't think that's fair between 67,000 and 79,000.
Click on that office, Beth. That office did the 5% and the 6% investment for everybody.
Which office?
The registered deeds, I'm sorry. Make sure everybody's looking.
So it's a $12,000, $1,000 a month difference.
5% and the 6 additional there, so they got 11. So that answers, maybe that helps answer that.
Are you mainly just looking at the sheriff's department because they've increased disproportionately to everybody else? Is that pretty much it?
Yeah.
Are you suggesting removing that 2%?
I brought that to y'all's attention. Again, I don't know. I mean, I don't know where
That's
the
what I hear
market's
you
at.
saying.
But I'm just saying that if we look underneath that, this is the top. Other than the sheriff's department, this is our next top in the category 9 job class. And it's somebody that sits on the second floor basically doing the same job somewhat as somebody sitting on the first floor, and it's a $12,000 difference. I'm bringing it to your attention because I think that there should be, maybe that job class has an average pay of 72,000. So, yeah, I'm saying that the ones that we're moving them up to 79, we're moving them above market, or at least out of this job class.
Mr. Chairman, there's no way possible that we
We
can
can fix
sit
it.
here at 10 o'clock
Oh,
and make a decent decision on a complex issue of county salary. And I know what Terry's trying. Terry's trying to do the right thing, but we can't do it here. And when a few minutes ago, suggested a work session, I sure didn't think we were gonna come back at the end of the meeting and have a work session, okay? So I really think this needs to be dug into, maybe even hire a consultant to give us some new ideas on what salaries ought to be and so forth. And there's so many restrictions, like David said, with county people that needs to be taken into consideration. But look, we don't need to when we change one, we're gonna have 10 other people for every one we change. change, to say this needs to be changed, I need more, or they need less. So, we need time to think about this.
I agree.
So are you making a motion, Mr. Hyde?
No.
You're not making a motion, so.
I'm just saying that I don't have the answer, but
I don't think anybody
we're
has an
not
answer.
in the right spot, and we
Well,
didn't look at them at
You
that
do have an
level.
answer. I mean, the answer is you cut, or you increase, or you don't do anything right now. But if you're saying there's a disparity, the answer is simple. You don't increase by
So-
next year at all, and you keep it flat in order to let everybody else catch up. That's an option.
So what if we looked at like job class 9 has an average salary of 72,000. What if we don't give all those additional raises for the ones that are making quite a bit more than
That's kind of what I was talking about.
You're talking about one job class. Just-
Well,
Yeah, well-
yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of them
There's
here
a bunch
that
of them
have
that are-
got,
Jeremy, look at
20 to
126.
30%.
Look at 126. We're talking about kicking them up 11% from 72 to almost 80.
80,000.
And, you know,
Was that coming up to market when we went through the process?
We never went to that level. We never looked at this.
this is all new information.
We never did it.
We never looked at the registered deeds, is that what we're talking about?
We never looked, yeah, we
Yeah,
didn't.
we only looked at the sheriff's department was only looked at.
I think it's a July 15 question.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna solve this problem tonight. I think
No.
this is new information again. We've talked about it for probably an hour, just on this subject.
Unless we talk about it.
Unless there's a motion, I think we keep this, I mean, this, I guess we keep this till July 15th.
We'll need to notice the departments that these are what you guys are preliminarily done, when they can come in for a hearing on the 15th.
Or we set another budget workshop. There's quite a bit of money there.
I would like to make a motion that we do another budget workshop soon and just assess salaries in order to bring a parity of sorts to all departments and all classifications until we can do a professional study.
So what kind of time are we looking at here? 40 hours? I mean, it's a lot of, you're
I think 2 hours at the most.
I'm not gonna be that optimistic, I would say 4.
Let me give you my best estimate.
If everybody did their homework.
Yes, they-
I think if you make the fairly quick decisions, I think you're looking at probably 3.5 to 4 hours.
If we just focus on this.
Like,
Just
in other words,
on-
if you go to the office you just went to and they're above, and you say, hey, we got the cost of living and the additional, because it's coming from above, we're gonna cut this additional, but nobody's gonna go below 5. If you make those decisions pretty quickly, then I think you could get it done in 3 hours. But if you sit and discuss it very long, you're gonna end up with 6. It's kind of where it's gonna go.
And I think preparation is the key, you know.
We can send you this sheet, and we can maybe even make it into an Excel format where you can.
If we could do Excel, that would be
Where you
really
can
good
actually
for me.
sort and filter it.
So
We'll look at that tomorrow.
when are you suggesting another budget workshop?
David, you made a motion.
When would we need to do this, if we did this?
I'm assuming night is best,
Yeah, I'm not doing it another day.
okay?
I won't be there.
Do you want to do it night or day?
Nighttime.
How early did you guys want to start, since it's on
I mean, are we talking June or July?
probably
June.
try to grab it June?
So
I'm flexible.
Because we won't send it out to the departments till you get your final changes, so it's gonna throw us.
And can I just, and I know you want me to quit talking, but I'm sorry. We have 29 new employees, and I don't think we've ever discussed all that, because we're approving 6 new EMS employees for the White House facility that we haven't yet even approved. So we need to
I
go
don't
back and
remember that.
review, they're on there. We need to go
That
back
is
and,
new.
and look at how many new employees
I'll
and
make
where
a
they're
motion to
going.
remove it right now. If I got a second.
The other 6 new employees.
Second.
All right.
There are
Any
other
discussion?
new employees that we probably need to
Well, I'm
look
just,
at.
Did they get
we haven't
voted?
discussed the facility right now, so, we don't have a budget for that, so.
The 6.
Got a motion and a second.
So any other discussion?
What are they for?
Any employees for White House.
What's the new
What was
6
it for?
then?
Because that's what it said.
Headquarters. Add an ambulance to the Gallatin station.
And one for Gallatin,
So add another crew?
to the Gallatin, to the number 1 station.
We don't have a 24-hour crew there currently.
I would say we should look at all 29 new employees and see where they're at.
All right, so when are we talking about doing this?
Thought about
Did we do Thursday the 20th?
That looks good to me, Thursday the 20th.
Are you withdrawing the motion?
I'm withdrawing my motion. Thursday the 20th?
Yep,
Anybody have any objections to that?
What time?
What time?
5?
You're gonna be here for 4 hours.
Let's start at 4.
Earlier.
Well, I'll go earlier. I'm flexible. I was just trying to accommodate everybody else who's working.
How early can everybody get here?
I can do whatever.
Um, 5. You got a motion? I got a motion the 20th, but I'm,
Okay.
I'll
20
second it.
all right, but is there a time? I'm not keen on 4, but I don't hear a motion for 4 o'clock, so
I'll motion 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock?
Second.
it's part of that. So, all right, so it's a motion for, you amended it to Thursday the 20th, 4 p.m.
Okay.
This is a budget workshop.
So we're looking at salaries and new positions?
New positions.
Only, or do you want to do anything else? Capital projects?
Can we leave it miscellaneous in case we,
That's on the other one.
No, if we're doing, this is for.
let's do this. All
We're
right.
only doing this.
Got it.
Salaries and new positions.
That's what the motion was for, that's what we're gonna vote on. Unless you get an amendment, but I'm gonna vote anything else down for me.
I don't think I have anything else on my list.
All right,
Sure.
budget workshop for salaries, Thursday the 20th at 4 p.m. Have a motion with a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Is there anything else, David?
That's it, so we will not notice the department head, because we'll wait till after this meeting.
Okay.
That's great.
One more motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey.
I had some more stuff.
I've been sitting here 6 hours. Oh, this would be good.
We'll get up on the 20th.
Well, I will.
I think I'll leave this here till morning, I don't see anything that earth shattering.
But wasn't it amazing that an engineer makes more than a mayor? I mean,